Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you. I'll see you soon.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. 26 or 27 or 25 or 26, Timmy. I lose track.
It's 26, episode
26. That's
Oh,
amazing.
man.
That shows you what a slacker Ray has been. He's only been like 5 or 6 times.
Let's see your episode 3.
Yeah,
Episode
Ray
3
comes in
slot.
here and he goes, "Timmy, are you on a camper?" Yeah, a lot has changed.
I'll make you feel, Ray. Ray, I still live in a home. So,
Yeah.
This is important.
I haven't lost it yet.
You still are wearing the same shirt that I saw last time, so.
Am I? I got the Trayvon shirt on.
No,
Yeah,
I see.
A lot of people don't realize this, but Raymond, we never leave this webinar room. We're just here. we just unlock the gates once a week.
Well, hey, thank you everybody for joining us. Again, another episode 26. Tonight, Ray Bonilla, Bill Koeb, myself, and then there's 3 or 4 others that hopefully will eventually be here. I know that everybody's working, everyone's got assignments or they're teaching, something's going on, but you know, that's part of it when you go after people that have big careers, you know? So, hey, so what we're going to do, I'm going to bounce through this real quickly. Again, this is brought to you by Visual Arts Passage. We're going to be doing 4 poses tonight, 4 20-minute poses, like always. We are drawing from, this is our last night of drawing from Bryan Rodner Carr. I have a thank you for him here in a minute. I'll bring him up. Our classes for the Visual Arts Passage start a week from this coming Saturday, October 10th. Real quickly, I just want to show you, which I think this is, our program is designed to help people get started in the industry, to help develop their careers. We've done a phenomenally good job of it, just from some of the people that show up and draw with us with their careers that have been part of our education. The first class, Process, Skill, and Craft, it's taught by Audrey Benjaminson, and it is the physical aspect of making a picture. It is the process of working with an art director to make a picture for a client. The skill sets and information in that class are very much the physical part of putting a picture together. You learn 3-value thumbnailing, value control, simple color, basic perspective, things that are very useful for you. And you learn to work in that process. It makes you better immediately, and it is the pipeline of the illustration world. It also exists in game and movie development. I've had Ian McCaig and Andy Parks both said, yeah, this process is when they're doing keyframe, they go through this process, but it's also, he said, it's not just with an art director, it's with a committee. And they joked about how many people that they have to appease along the way. And they said, I wish it was just an art director. The second class is the cognitive side of picture making. It's learning to identify a problem, taking text apart, and then solving the problem either in a conceptual or a narrative. And it is the cognitive side of being an illustrator and a visual storyteller. The next class, the portfolio class, and Edward Kinsella teaches the ideation visual storytelling class. The next class is taught by Dale Stefanos and myself, and it is portfolio. And it's when our students first define where they want to work in the industry, and they're actually identifying their audience. Who are the art directors and venues they want to create an exit portfolio for? And so they're making a commitment not only to themselves, but to the instructors, that we can help them develop portfolio pieces aimed at the industry and functional portfolio. And the last class is taught by Sterling Hunley, and that's putting that portfolio in action. We are out pursuing the industry. You're aligning your social media, your online website, you're sending direct mail, you're learning how to crowdsource, you're learning kind of an entrepreneurial, some entrepreneurial approaches to being an artist and living your life as an artist. Sterling's magnificent at it. So that's our program. We get started a week from this Saturday. We also have a concept design program that's laid out very similar, the same idea. How do you develop the right skill sets for the industry and a solid exit portfolio? The goal in both cases is to make an art director remember you for whatever it is you do. Art directors are the people you're trying to develop portfolio for. Tonight, we're in our drawing night. If you have more questions, if you have any questions, you can reach Timmy and I. You can sign up. Timmy, we're still doing portfolio reviews next week if people are.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is enrollment closes October 8th, but we're definitely going to be selling out classes sooner than that. I know that there's only like one spot left in ideation. Process, I think, has 2 spots left. I mean, like, these are going to sell out pretty soon. So if you are considering signing up, either sign up right away or get in contact with me or John ASAP if you have questions, because these are going to fill up. And once we hit capacity, that's it for the fall. So highly recommend it.
All right. Thank you, Timmy. Well, here we are drawing again. Real simply, I always put this up here because these are the people that have been great contributors. Ray, you're even on the list down there, down in the bottom right corner is Ray. I'll work backwards is Dale Stefanos, Vanessa Del Rey, Ashley Lovett, Don Kilpatrick, Bill Koeb, who Bill's here tonight. I said Bill is the Iron Man of our 26 events. I think he's been to every one. He might have missed one along the way. Hector Casanova, Brent Watkinson, John Foster, myself, Gil Ashby, Audrey Benjaminson, and George Pratt. Then we just had, I didn't want to redo the page, so I put, which I thought he would be here tonight, but he had to cancel because he got an assignment that he has to work on. This is Montavo Machado, who's joined us the last few weeks. He's phenomenal. Past student of mine that lives in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Been friends with him since 1997. And he is a terrific artist who's joined us the last couple of weeks. And then, of course, Mr. Payne. And always thank you to the Wade brothers for being so kind, and Art House to help us out, introduce us to other photographers, letting us use their work. Been a really good relationship. I thank you very much for doing so. And to thank you to Bryan Rodner Carr for letting us use his work for this last month.
Yeah, and John, so we were going to move on to a new photographer, and I told John, I was like, okay, I think we're ready to move on. John was like, no, Brian posted new photos.
Yeah, I did his website.
Yeah, so we were like, all right, one more week. We got one more week with Brian. The only other thing I'd say is please share your work. I hope you draw along with us this evening. That's our favorite part of the night, is at the end of the night being able to check out everyone's work. We want to see it. Art House, the Wade brothers, Bryan Rodner Carr, these are all artists. They have their own businesses. A lot of thought went into the photography that they created. Please credit them. Give them a shout out. It helps them. And it's really Rush Wade, or RW2, and Art House. They're running their own business, and they're really just doing this as goodwill friends. And so it's really amazing that they do this for us. It takes a lot of weight off John and I's shoulders because we can always count on them to bring in this awesome photography. So just wanted to say that. Other than that, please share your work. It'll be fun.
I'm gonna respond to that chat live and just say, Julian, thank you for saying that, and I'm glad it's been of benefit to you. And reach out to me, do a portfolio review with me sometime. You can review my portfolio.
And regarding tags and everything, as soon as we get going, I'll share that stuff. If you're joining us for the first time tonight, I know a lot of you are. you'll want to go to our website and just go to / photos. I'll share the link in the chat. Raymond Bonilla, who has been gone for a while, but he's back
Yeah.
now.
The mysterious Raymond Bonilla is going to be drawing with us tonight.
Yeah, so I'll share the link. We're all drawn from the same photo. We do it sequentially, so photo at the top is the one we start with.
All right. I'll stop sharing. Oh, and I gotta do the time. Ray, tell me when you're ready. I don't want a whole bunch
Oh,
of this.
okay. Yeah, I'm
I
ready.
don't want to be, you paying me for extra minutes. To,
I was gonna say Raymond Bonilla is a mystery to me too. So
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Shout out to everybody that's coming from LiveBrush to join us tonight.
Shout out to all my live brushers.
Hey, shout out to LiveBrush. Tell them what it is.
Yeah.
Great
Well,
thing.
if you're trying to double down on your drawing nights, definitely check out LiveBrush. It's a must-have. And while Raymond's drawing tonight, I'm going to share the link.
Thanks, Timmy.
See, Ray? See how much we share?
I know. Well, you know,
We try.
Live Brush did predate, illustration isolation. No, actually, no.
What?
It didn't.
We'll be sending her cease and desist.
I want a fact check on that. Someone give me a fact checker.
Yeah. Somebody. It's whoever gets a Wikipedia page first, I think.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I gotta
Hey,
get
you've
Chris
been
to start
taking
one for
your
me.
you've been listening to politicians too much.
Yeah. I thought I'd give it a shot, John. You know.
Just claim it.
Yeah. I
Was that
figured that you'd
right?
be too busy doing all these other things that you would just agree with whatever I had to say.
Should we go by age?
Wait, that's right after you won your 15th gold medal at Society of Illustrators, right?
Right. After I eclipsed Gary Kelly.
You hit the home run, the Hamilton King, the Hall of Fame,
the Hamilton King,
and the gold medal all in the same year.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. That's when I got the idea for Live Brush.
Yeah, you really became an iconic illustrator as soon as you started telling people you were an iconic illustrator. That's the trick.
That's the trick. Yeah.
You
Okay.
ever see that movie? Are you going, John? Sorry.
Yeah, I no, it's fine. I'm kind of distracted, but I'm going. Here we go.
No, I was gonna say there was that Matt Damon movie, The Informant, and they were like, you lied to hundreds of people and you told them you were an orphan. And Matt Damon's like, no, I only told a small lie to one person and they told everyone.
Yeah, that's pretty much. It could be confused as a biography on my work. Yeah, on my life. My career. Oh, goodness me. Well, I'm super excited to be back.
Internationally renowned.
Say again, Bill.
Is that when you tell people you're internationally renowned?
Yeah. That's it. I exist coast to coast on my parents' refrigerator.
I mean,
Yeah.
I figure if you sell something to one European, then you're internationally renowned.
Or someone in Canada.
Or Canada, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Mexico, anywhere.
Yeah. Anywhere that's just past the border. Or, I'm being from New York, anyone outside the tri-state area, it's pretty much international waters for a lot of the New Yorkers.
Also, if you're tuning in for the first time tonight, Raymond, how long have you been gone? Like a month? So
Oh my goodness, yeah.
We're just excited to be able to tease him again. So
I see you guys are working on your material, saving it up.
We're not this usually intensely mean.
We were asked to heckle you specifically.
Yeah, I just want the viewers to know, that even Bill Koeb showed up purposely to heckle me because it was requested that I be heckled. So
yeah.
Well,
doing his due diligence.
In all honesty, Ray, just so I can say this to the audience, as much trouble as we're giving you, Ray is an amazing talent.
Yes.
He is one heck of a painter, and I'm really happy to have him join us. And hopefully, in a backhanded way, that's a real serious heckle, because now the pressure's on you, right?
Yeah, I know. It's like, he's probably the best I've ever seen, and you're about to be blown away.
I promise you, the best piece that's ever been done in illustration isolation is about.
It's about to happen. You think Chris Payne's good? You have.
It's all yours, Ray.
Yeah.
But no pressure,
No
just
pressure at all. Oh my God.
So
I'll
Ray,
tell
you
you.
have to show up right now.
There was a great, I can't remember what the name of the movie was, that it was the Johnny Cash movie with who played Johnny Cash? Who's the actor?
Joker.
Pardon me?
Joaquin
Joaquin,
Phoenix?
yeah, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And he was they pissed off Jerry Lee Lewis, and he was being put back in the order of their performance on this circuit that I guess it was what was it called, the chicken whatever circuit that they were traveling around doing these concerts. And he just absolutely had he opened for Elvis and just slayed the room and just killed him. And when he walked off stage and was passing Elvis, he just looked at him and goes, real casually goes, "Hey, they're all yours." Knock him out. It was so beautifully done. I was struggling. I couldn't remember everybody's name, and I was trying to think of. I'm surprised I remember Jerry Lee Lewis's name. I've had a very long day.
What is it? Walk Tall or something like that, right? Is that the movie?
No, that's the
That's Hot Walk Hard.
It's Walk the Line, but yeah, you're thinking
Walk the Line. Yeah. You're right. I thought John was going to say.
Right.
Yeah, I thought John was going to say, if CF Payne is Walk the Line, Ray is, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, which is pretty much pretty accurate. I wouldn't disagree on that. Yeah, Elvis, you didn't have to rile up the crowd there. What'd you say? Has everybody seen that movie? It's pretty much a masterpiece.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he traumatized because, I forget what happened in.
Yeah, he cut his brother in half by accident by swinging around a gigantic scythe or something like that.
Yeah.
Pa said not to play around with it. Oh God. Too funny. Well, I'm super excited to finally be back after my long hiatus. I wish I was saying that I took a vacation, but I teach. So and I teach the classes right up against illustration isolation. So I've had to sit back and with my hand in my cheek while I scroll through the wonderful Instagram posts that bombard my stream every day of all the awesome work. So I got tired enough of feeling horrible about myself, and I got my work done a little earlier just so I can come in and hang out with everyone. And then I found out that everyone tried to actually make plans, and John had to be here, otherwise the lights wouldn't go on.
Come on, we're here because you're here.
Well, according to Timmy, you guys are always here, so
yeah. John very much is.
I know.
And surprise, surprise, looks like Montalvo's in the room.
What?
Yeah.
Sweet. I missed that one. So
put a camera on that guy.
Or could be a Russian bot impersonating Montalvo. No, I'm pretty sure it's Montalvo. We'll see. Hey, Montalvo.
Hey, it really is Montalvo.
Yeah, I just got in here just to say hi.
He's not going to draw.
Yeah.
He heard there's free heckling going on for.
Yeah, I just stopped
He
by
heard it
just
all the
to
way
say
down
hi
in
to you
Sao
guys.
Paulo, Brazil, and he said, "I got to show up for that."
Right. It's like probably 3 a.m. over there, and you
No,
came just to heckle at me. So I appreciate that, Matava. Nice to meet you, man.
All right. It's not so late here. It's just 20 past 8.
I was gonna say,
Oh, okay.
Raymond, you guys are probably on the same time zone.
Yeah, he's an hour ahead. So yeah,
I'm not gonna stay
Rick
for too
studied
long.
art, not
Sorry.
geography.
yeah, Matava. Yeah, I studied art.
Yeah, I
But,
got some things that just, there's a lot of jobs coming this month. And I just really stopped by to say hi and see you guys drawing.
Oh, it's so great to have you in the room.
Hey, no worries. Tudo bom, tudo bom.
All
We're
right.
gonna we're gonna lose half the audience when you sign off.
Montalvo's become a regular since you've left.
Yeah.
So he's my replacement, basically, or my upgrade.
No,
Upgrade is a better.
Yeah. We could do better than Ray. I think we could do better.
no, Raymond, I told you the rules. It's that once you leave illustration isolation, you can do it at any time. You have to replace yourself with someone better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm okay with
I didn't read
yielding my seat.
I didn't read the tiny letters on the contract. I should have.
Yeah.
Yeah, Montalvo. That's the thing is the better you get, the harder it is to get out of this contract.
Yeah, Timmy and John tend to use very, very small font on their contract.
That's what makes Timmy such a good business partner.
I can print really tiny.
Yeah.
And he realizes artists don't read anything.
Yeah, no, Ray, the time zone thing wasn't surprising to me at all that you got that so wrong, because that is one of the things. Yeah, they don't teach time zones at art school.
No, they do not. No, I could paint a landscape of Brazil, but I couldn't tell you what I could paint a sunset. I just couldn't tell you what time sunset is actually in Brazil.
This is long ago enough that I don't think I'll get in trouble for mentioning, but I was on the phone with somebody that was calling about time zones once for they want to know what time class was, and I was like, well, it's I'm trying to remember what it was. They were calling from New York, and I was like, the class is at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And they were like, okay, yeah, no, 4 p.m. is great for me. And I was like, you said you're in New York, right? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, so it won't be at 4 p.m. You'll have to convert it to Eastern. And they're like, no, I'm on Pacific. And I was like, no, Pacific Ocean.
Right. He's on the west side of Manhattan.
Yeah,
That's
and I
what
was
we
like,
call the Pacific time. Yeah.
I was like, no, very polite. I was like trying to be customer service oriented.
Yep.
While I know the customer is always right.
I used to think I was from the South, and I realized that I was actually just from Queens.
Yeah.
When I was in San Francisco, everything east was the East Coast.
Right.
On the other side of the bay, that was the East Coast.
The East Coast.
Wherever the sun sets and rises, that's all you got to remember.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing with New York. Because I'm from Queens, and everything basically inward and up, like Westchester was considered upstate New York. They're like, oh, that's way upstate. Now I live in Buffalo, and it's like just laughing at that idea. Because when I go home, I meet family friends, and they say, "Oh, you're from upstate, I hear." It goes, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, I have a cousin that lives in Westchester. That should be pretty close to you." I'm like, "Well, it's about 7.5 hour drive away." They're like, "What?" You said you live in New York.
It's a long way up there.
Yep.
Well, folks, I have to do something here. Really just stopped by to say hi.
Hey, good to see you, Montalvo.
Just for
Montalvo,
John.
thank
not
you.
to-
Hey, obrigado, Matavo. Have a good
all
one.
right,
Man.
all right. And John
hope
said
to
that
see you
I
next week,
was
Montalvo.
like his neighbor. Really just stopped by, and I'm gonna mute here my mic and my camera, but I'll be following you guys on the screen. Okay.
Hang tight.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Good to see
Hope
you.
to see you soon, Montalvo.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Enjoy.
All right.
The world's nicest man.
I know he's definitely an upgrade. He's got a better beard than I do, more unified
It's an upgrade.
grade. You know, it's just
Yeah.
I got grays speckled all over the place. It's got you know,
You got
it's
nice hair.
sort of, yeah. And I'm lacking in here. I'm actually losing hair. Maybe
Plus, he comes with like he's a man, an international man of mystery.
right. I'm one of those mysteries that you just don't want to solve. Yeah, I'll do something later. You know.
Montalvo does kind of have what was the
Most interesting man in the world.
yes
The most
The
interesting
Dos
man
Equis
alive.
guy. The Dos Equis guy, right? Yeah. It's the beard and the hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't have one or the other, you know.
Mhm.
Or you know, if you do only have the beard, then you have to go like, you know, the whole suspenders and bow tie thing, kind of like like an old timey like barber or something like that, right? It's just too much work. So I am painting in Photoshop, for those of you wondering. I usually paint in acrylics. I teach right up until this point, so I don't have time to grab all of my acrylic stuff because I'd have to tear down my whole setup here, which is actually, you know, next time I should probably, I have charcoal and everything like that set up, so I should maybe do that next time. John, that pastel that you posted was incredible, man.
Thank you.
And Bill's been rocking the landscape paintings. That's awesome. They look great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been nice to go out and do those.
Yeah, I need to get out of the studio and do some.
Speaking of which, your show, the stuff that you posted about your show looks great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. It's one of those things, you know, when you guys know, it's like sometimes you'll do work that most people won't really see the final product until months later because you're on to the next thing, and you're like, okay, well that's done. All I have to do is just photograph and varnish it. So it's nice to finally see that work again. So hopefully, you know, also makes me feel that I need to. You ever look at work from like an old show and you're like, oh, I used to do that. Oh, maybe I should try that again. Why did I stop doing X, Y, and Z?
Ray, I look at old paintings I've done before, and I don't have any idea how I did them. I really don't. It's like, when did I have so much patience? You know, it's like.
Right. I totally see that happening to me. I totally see that happening.
I used to do all these like, you know, real polished heads at times and portraits and stuff. And it's like, God, I can't do that anymore, I don't think.
Man,
that how you feel.
We had that like Wyatt Earp piece. I have like a little JPEG of that I look at.
Really good, huh?
Yeah.
What not to do?
I thought it was awesome. Was it wonderful? Like, was that like a lift out or?
Yeah, it was an oil wash with the lift out.
Ah, okay. It's got a wonderful, like that wonderful texture. Is that on like, was that on the illustration board or?
Yep. I painted it
okay.
like I did like a acrylic, like all the big flat areas are all painted flat in acrylic and then put an oil wash over the whole thing.
Right. It's awesome.
I saw somebody once do that. I'm joking.
Yeah,
My dad made a living.
you saw it. You saw it on TV one time.
I saw it on TV and then watched
Yeah.
this Chris Payne guy figure it out. And there was a whole group of artists that did that for a while.
You saw that on YouTube?
Yep.
Right. We saw it on YouTube. Yeah. Oh god.
I'm gonna have to to show anything here. I'm gonna have to buy about an hour of Johnny minutes here.
Yeah, I picked
It's
there's
a
some
tough
great.
one.
This is a tough one. They're so great. The photos though. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
These
there's
are
some good
great.
stuff in there.
Mind you, it's probably week 12 of Brian's photography. I just, and of course, I'm now just coming into seeing it.
This is week 4. You've done hit the whole month with him.
Oh wow!
He's terrific.
I was thinking the other day. I was like, man, Timmy's dad's photos. Like I was thinking to myself, I was walking down the street, and all of a sudden, it just popped in my head about how I was like, I saw the Jacques Cousteau where he's sort of smiling. The one that Don did a really incredible piece of, and I was like, man, I wish I would have done that one, or came in that day, because I think I came swung by at the very end to heckle Dale for a little bit, and then I think leave.
Ray, were you around? I was on. So when we were starting to do all that, I was on. I was looking up the documentary, because I've never seen the documentary that they were filming when they were in Brazil.
Oh, they were filming a documentary at the time?
Yeah, and I believe it went. I mean, and it was that predates everybody I think for the most part it predates the distribution of recorded content to homes. It would have been 1982.
Wow.
So so there just weren't, they're outside of a library, there just weren't that many VHS tapes. But I found somebody who they picked it up at a garage sale, and then they digitized it and just put it on YouTube. And so I hit them up because they put up a really crummy version of it on YouTube, bad. And I was like, I need this more than you.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, please consider selling it to me, And so they were really nice. I bought it from them.
That's good, because it didn't sound like you were.
No, I was just I told them the whole story. I was like, this is a really emotional thing. I don't think my dad even had a recording of it ever. So I was like, I need this. So we got it. I've only scrubbed through a couple parts of it, and I've scrubbed through just enough of it to see that a couple of those photos, my dad definitely was behind the cinematographer.
Wow.
He was like, this guy knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Just follow the cinematographer. Way to go.
Yeah. That's what I did.
Hey,
that's what I used to do.
Yeah.
It's school. It's like sitting behind your teacher while they're painting along and just copying their painting. We used to do that a lot.
Well, last week I was jokingly talking about at the academy, I always sit next to George Pratt, and then when everybody got up and walked around, I would finish my drawing by looking at George's.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay, I could just give it to this and do that.
Well, not on the design or anything or the drawing. It's just he had all the information there because he draws so damn fast.
Right.
I don't. As you're about to find out. I'm just getting this laid in. Okay, how about 2 more minutes, Ray?
Okay. Yeah.
Will that help, or will that?
Yeah. That's fine.
Not going to help me much, but
it'll any time is appreciated. Just having fun with this. Trying to get this. Been thinking a lot. This is actually doing these paintings. The last time I was there, I drew alongside everyone. I think George was there, and what photography we were doing. I think it was right after the Wade's brothers.
What was the beginning of Bryan then? Because he followed them.
Oh, okay. So then it was, okay. So then I did do the first Bryan. And just the shapes that I got from the photography, it made me think a lot about simplifying my paintings and how I can actually get that idea into my actual work. So I'm glad I'm doing this again, because it really helps inform my.
That's a good conversation. I know that you shoot photo reference and work from photo reference, and you manipulate photo reference with your reference. I mean, you actually work on the photo reference before you start your drawing and everything.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, quite a bit.
I've gotten to the point where I do the same thing with my landscape work, is I manipulate the design of the photography kind of to my liking and to my needs. I change the shapes, value control of the whole piece, or value adjustments.
Right.
And I'm going to mention that because one of the things we didn't talk about is, and I don't want to get too far because it's not going to happen right away, but Ray's teaching a class with us in the middle of next semester, and
I'm super
how to
excited.
do that.
Yes, I will. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really amped about that. From paint to pixel, head painting.
What I like about Ray teaching that class is he can't come in here and say, because it's on Saturday, he can't come and say, I was teaching.
Right, yeah, I don't have any excuse anymore. I don't have an excuse. Oh, God. Was it on Tuesday, or I thought it was on Tuesday? That's it.
Well, all I know is it's not on Thursday.
It's not on Thursday, no. And I have
Tuesday.
My semester ends I think that week. So the first week that we start the class, it's not even, so I have no excuse basically.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with it.
Yeah.
Well, I should say, John, it's like that class is almost sold out.
Is it? Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Do they know who's teaching it?
I know. It's like, are you sure? Okay. Maybe we'll spend this next this next pose explaining the reasons why. You probably shouldn't take the class. Okay. All right. Well, John, I'm set.
I'm not, but go ahead. We're good.
That looks good, man.
Thanks, Bill. First, you're cranking 2 of them out.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's looks awesome, Bill.
Oh, thanks.
Bill always gets there really fast too.
I know. He's on like tone paper and.
Yeah, so am I, but I'm not getting there really fast. I'm just, I'll change cameras.
But you get details that I don't, so.
Oh, it's the mighty undo button, Bill.
Oh, I'm gonna.
I like how you use the gray of the background as your shadow. Your mid-tone there.
Yeah. Thanks. I was looking at I had an old teacher of mine. His name was Tomutsu Takishima at the Academy of Art. I don't know, John. Have you ever met him? Tomutsu?
I have not. I don't believe I have.
He's oh my God! Talk about an incredible artist. He would when in his very quick studies, he would use the middle tone, to work into his piece, and it was just sort of it would go in and out of his painting like beautifully. You couldn't even tell at first, and then if you looked at it, you're like, oh my goodness, that's a middle tone, because the appearance of it would change all the time. And so I'm basically just copying what he did. Actually, more like stealing, but
Well, it's nice because you have 4 values set up, and
right.
and it just, you know, you got all your shapes down, you got a sense of light on the hair and a sense of light on her clothes, you know, but all the darks in her face that just really, you know, pull you up to that. I like actually I like the white of the shirt, how it's highlighted there.
Yeah, there was this Dean Cornwell. I don't know if it was a Captain Blood painting. Where do you have the book Visions of Adventure? I think it's called.
Mm-mm.
It's a Walt Reed Brandywine artist book, and on the inside is this fold out page with like a Dean Cornwell, where he basically did. It was, I gotta see if I can find it. He had like a pirate. It was like a black, white, and like yellow painting.
Yeah.
It was one of those types of black, white, and the color paintings. And so he had one where a pirate was sort of thinking, and the pirate's local value of his face had the sun-beaten look to it, and it was a black beard, like kind of dark middle tonish flesh, and his shirt was a white shirt, and his like control of local value was like so incredible. Like the design just read from a million miles away because everything had its own value. And I always thought like I love that, and I saw that in a lot of like the 19th century artists like Casas and Ramon Casas, and you know, Zorn would do that all the time. And it takes so much restraint though, because you want to throw in a billion values, and I think 20 minutes, you know, it's not it's not that hard. It's hard to not. It's easy to restrain yourself, you know, a lot easier than if you had like 20 days, you know.
Well, like when people start drawing, you know, you see a lot of beginning artists where they're trying to get all the values down. They're trying to put every single value in.
Right.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wait a second. I'm trying to do that right now. Hold on.
Before we get moving, because I can see Bill's getting going on the next.
Bill's on his third one already of the third iteration.
Yeah, no, I just want everybody in the audience to know. So this is the time where I kind of tour the room. While I'm doing that, please share your work. You can post it on Instagram, share it with us on the Facebook group. I just put in the chat what we would like for you to tag so we can check it out at the end of the night. Please do. It's really special to be able to see all these different interpretations and different perspectives. Cool. Yeah. I could see somebody shared their handle. Yeah. If you go to the hashtag illustration isolation on Instagram, really great place to see and meet a bunch of cool artists. It's a really fun community. So
bunch of great demos on there too.
Yeah. A lot of great demos. But Bill is up next. If you're gonna draw with us, be sure to hit refresh so you'll see the next photo. It's the young woman in the white tank top. It was out of order before, so be sure to hit refresh. She's kind of pulling the shirt up her side. So other than that, we're ready to go. But John, I'm going to stop by and see what you're drawing.
Okay.
oh, that looks cool.
Getting it in?
Yeah. Here's what I did from the last one.
Oh, cool.
And then I did her face too, but it's that upshot, you know, where it's hard to get.
Yeah, who picked that reference? Jeez.
I don't know. Sorry about that.
Let that guy in.
Yeah, right.
Timmy picked all the references this week.
Yeah. Send your complaints to Bryan.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, who was the artist that decided he wanted to draw that, right? It's like,
yeah,
it's more so that, you know.
That was an interesting pose. I want to work. I want to finish this one. I like it. It was a good pose.
It's got that.
Got a great attitude.
Yeah, and it's got such a wonderful set of shapes. That's just you know what it reminds me of? Like the Chicago style of illustration. You know, like Loomis, Sunbloom, like that type of like buttery. Like,
Also has
hey,
kind of a Kobe Whitmore model feel to it, you know?
totally.
Well,
Like just built for design.
one of the things, if you give Bryan a follow on Instagram, one of the things I kind of quickly learned is all of these are very established models that he's photographed, and he catches them in such a natural way. But yeah, it was, to me, it was educational to realize, like, oh wow, these are, because you start to see the people he's tagging, and these are like professional. They're absolutely professionals, like in every sense of it. Which is no surprise,
no
I
question.
think.
Yeah.
I stepped away, Tim. Are you talking about us? Is it?
Yeah.
He was, yeah.
This is
I
what
raise
you
that
like.
bar every time I show up. No, but Timmy, you were saying like you know, they like the models. I mean, you could tell they know how to move in space.
Yeah.
Like no question.
Well, his selection of models is superb. They're not. I mean, they're obviously beautiful people, but they're very interesting looking people.
Right.
You go back and you look at like people that I love, great drawings of, that did portraits like of somebody like Fetchin or Holbein and great drawers. They had a great, they wouldn't pick a really average looking person to draw. The faces were really beautifully designed on their own,
Well, and it goes to show you like how they had like it goes to show you like how just a good model actually, it becomes well known around that around a given community, especially around that time. Like they had a whole, like I was at the Art Institute or the MFA, I think last summer actually, and I saw it was a Toulouse-Lautrec show, but they did like this sort of, I guess, story, this whole little part of the exhibition that was devoted to just this one model. Was an actress. Her name escapes me, but they had like 4 or 5 paintings from all this different artists' work. Like you could tell, like just these beautiful renditions of this model. And everyone's a knockout, just in terms of design and like, just the flow of things. And it's just, you could tell that the model sort of, the pictures for them, like it just makes them, they paint themselves, with certain, when you get a certain person like that.
You remember, well, look at, and I always get a kick out of this because the guy's name is also Sterling. The model that was Leindecker's model, male model that did all the arrow shirt,
Oh yeah.
He looks just like Sterling Hunley, and the model's name was Sterling.
Really?
Reincarnation.
Sure, Sterling didn't have like a side gig.
Well, I kept thinking of maybe Sterling's grandfather. He was named after his grandfather, the arrow shirt model.
Yeah.
Models, choosing interesting faces to draw. It's like, think about, like something like drawing, Matt Damon's a good looking guy, but compare drawing Matt Damon to Adrian Brody.
I was going to say, I was thinking Adrian Brody this whole time.
He's like the most interesting face ever, for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Funny story about him. When, one summer, Anita Kuntz was saying, "Hey, my friend," and she kind of told it knowing the outcome, but she kept saying, "My friend keeps messaging me saying, my son's finally got he's got a part," and it turned out she kept talking about him all summer long, and it was Adrian Brody. She was friends with Adrian's mother.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Anita knows a lot of interesting people.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
I know she knows Ralph Steadman.
She does. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm not
Guys,
surprised.
let's be careful about going through other people's Rolodexes while we're. Yeah.
Okay, I'll bring it in a little bit.
You like Adrian
my
Brody?
dad's-
Well then,
Yeah, we
join us
gotta
at
bring it in.
Illustration Isolation.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Please forward whatever you heard onto the person we're talking about.
Well, it's a true story.
You're right. I know.
I didn't embellish it or change. I probably downplayed it. My father's favorite model from Detroit was Bill Bixby. As you know,
Yeah.
everybody
Oh
knows.
yeah,
Oh wow.
The Hulk
Really?
in the original.
Yeah.
his
yeah.
father.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He modeled. Bill started in Detroit, and he modeled for all the car companies. Did all.
I was gonna say, did he model for the car companies? Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. Oh, that's so awesome. Who was that? Who was the model? Oh my God, I'm like blanking on him. He did all the Doc Samsons and like all the Bama covers, and like he showed up in.
I can't think of his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's another one that just showed up and shows up in everyone's work around that time. You know, all the paperback books and.
He was Fabio before Fabio.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I met Elaine DeWillio one time, and it was a trip to meet her, you know. And I wanted to. I know she probably, you know, answers. People ask her about the Fabio thing. For those who don't know, Elaine DeWillio is, or actually even Fabio. I guess this really wouldn't matter, right? If you didn't know who Fabio was, but he was the
Romance.
Yeah.
I
Just,
saw Fabio once in Los Angeles years ago.
Before
Really?
or after the accident.
Well, this was like 25 years ago, so
So before.
he was.
he had an accident? I didn't even know that.
He got hit by a. He was on a.
Brutal. It's brutal.
Was
He got hit by a
he got
bird,
like a
right?
Ferris wheel, and he got hit by a bird.
It was a
Yeah.
roller coaster.
Jesus
It was a
Christ.
roller coaster, and it
Roller
was not
coaster.
a small. It wasn't. It was a serious injury.
Oh, absolutely.
God.
Yeah.
And can you imagine that? I mean, his face was his livelihood.
Yeah. Jimmy, you sound guilty. Like you had
I was
something
like,
to do
watch
with
it. You're talking
Really?
about Fabio.
Yeah.
No, I used to photo assist all the time.
That was your first PA gig.
No, we'd do like, you know, clothing brochures and stuff like that. So I always hated whenever like I would have to help with models and stuff. It'd be like the most beautiful people I've ever met. And then somebody would like always take a photo of me looking like a moron next to them. like a whole foot shorter and like
Oh.
like all sweaty and tired.
So they
Yeah.
get the gaffer out of there.
Yeah, it was all. There's nothing. You could feel great. It could be your best day, and you accidentally get taken in a photo like that, and it just you like. I still think about it.
Oh.
I remember I came back from like the first probably year I was doing that. Like I came back from a shoot one time, and I was just like, no, people are that beautiful. You know?
So you were
Right.
like that little girl in the Norman Rockwell painting, like
Yeah, I was
looking
like,
at her.
no, it exists. It's just they won the lottery. No.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some people that are not really beautiful, but who photograph incredibly well.
Yeah, well, that was
Right.
another thing I was going to say, Bill, is that oftentimes, especially the cooler the clothing,
Yeah.
the less, you know, they weren't people that you would be like, they just weren't traditionally or like, whatever you'd call it, like
I shouldn't say less beautiful, just not.
crowd. No, like,
Really
what's the term for it? What would be the term for it? Somebody in the audience knows. Like,
Photogenic, maybe.
Photogenic.
no, conventionally beautiful. Thank you,
Oh,
Shane.
Conventionally
That was
beautiful.
what I was trying to think of. Yeah, yeah, we're like minefield of a discussion. Yeah, no, it really comes down to more like a more interesting person.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, just
more,
like,
more memorable.
well, in drawing and painting, design is a huge part of it. And
Mhm.
God designed people certain ways. Some people won the lottery on that.
Well, sometimes it was exaggerated features were like
Oh, absolutely.
they were
Mhm.
much more like I saw that on set a lot more often.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
I don't know why. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
good
just
or
like,
bad.
if
Did
we-
they just photograph better because it's just easier to get out of
oh, it's just
get
like,
what you need out of it?
think about actors in Hollywood. I mean, you
Right.
see them, like, they have, one of the key things is everybody's their heads are all oversized.
Right.
And they're all really, really short.
Yeah.
They're all short with gigantic heads.
Yeah.
It's true.
You heard it here first. 100% of them.
It's true.
It is true. There's a little bit of truth to that.
I remember being on the set for the Crow City of Angels, and like, other than the people behind the camera, I was like the tallest person there, you know. And
Wow.
I mean, we're talking like,
Yeah, but you're a pretty tall guy. So
yeah, but
Yeah. How tall are you, Bill?
well, I'm 6'1", but
you
Okay.
seem taller than that.
what's that?
You seem taller than that.
Oh, thanks.
And you look, by the way, whatever you're doing, you look good. I saw the photo of you recently. You're real thin.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm running. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm running, and I'm doing push-ups and sit-ups. Not so many sit-ups.
And apparently heaving actors.
What's
in
that?
LA. You're throwing actors as well since they're so
No, these
small.
over-
And,
Yeah.
Oversized
Well, think about it too. Like nowadays actors are all like incredible shape, right?
Mhm.
When you're little, it's
like
a lot.
Russell Crowe.
When you're smaller, it's a lot easier to get in shape.
You heard it here first. Scientific fact.
No, I'm just saying is because
we've got health tips. We've got
no, because like
tabloids.
Bill, as a 5'7" foot-person, I don't believe that it is 20% easier.
I didn't say shorter. I said little.
Smaller, littler.
I knew a guy in school who was the skinniest, smallest guy I knew, and he could do more pull-ups and more upper body strength exercises better than any of the really muscled guys. And I just think it's, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows?
I was gonna, this is where we do the asterisk.
There's no chance you're wrong, Bill. But it
I was
could
just gonna say,
be a different way.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't
I
know.
was just gonna say, this is the asterisk disclaimer of the podcast. This is not a human biology podcast.
I'm just making this up, right?
Yeah, we're just trying to fill the air.
Full disclosure, Timmy. We usually wait till you leave for us to talk about stuff like this.
To just make wild
Yeah.
conjectures about science.
I mean, ask Timmy. He agrees with us.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll stop lying.
Our only expertise is hopefully we draw pretty well, and that's about it. So
Everything else.
let's leave it alone from there.
Yeah,
You can
I'll
take
say
the rest
this.
with a grain of salt.
If you're rolling your eyes about anything we've said, just know that we really only came here to draw.
And heckle me. So
Yeah.
That's where you're like,
I'm loving the fact that the focus is off me for a second.
Yeah,
while
we're
I fumble through this thing.
we're just bullshitting.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's just our simple theories.
Yeah.
Somebody, Tedman just said, "Love us for our art, not our brains."
So is this the part where you do the disclaimer that you're not responsible?
Thank you. Thank you for loving us for our art, not our brains.
We're one-trick ponies, you know.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, but the whole thing where it started about drawing interesting looking people.
Yeah.
Well, it is a delicate conversation.
Not conventionally beautiful people,
Mm-hmm.
people with interest, and it's there's a reason why, and you know, interest is built in.
Yeah, I mean, look at Madame X. You know, this. What's it? Madame Good-Chu is it? What was her name? I forgot the last name. But like,
I would know. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You were just the other week. We were all talking about like first crushes or people that when we were younger we found really beautiful, and across the board everybody was like, it wasn't what you would expect to be conventional. It was all like striking characters,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that you'd be like, whoa, that's kind of out of left field. Mine was the nanny, right? But this is Franz Drescher, right? Which is like not conventional. But anyway, what's that? Yeah. So anyways, but anyway, the funniest one that I really loved was Gianna's friend was like Simba.
The Lion King.
What? You're like, you mean the cartoon? It's like, yeah, Simba, first crush.
Hey.
It's like, huh?
Okay.
We're like, all right. Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
JTT.
JTT, can't go wrong with JTT. Oh my God, we're so old.
Did you say you're so old?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about like first.
No, we're so old. If we're talking about Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
You have no idea. I'm so old. I don't even know who Jonathan Taylor Thomas is.
Yeah,
I know. You got laughed. You got laughed on that one. John.
Yeah, Ray. If Chris Payne were here, he'd be like, "You mean that up and coming actor?"
If Chris watches this, I didn't laugh, but I wasn't laughing at him.
Hey man, there's a recording of it. Cool.
You don't want to get into a debate of Chris and movies of a certain vintage.
Yeah.
He's got like it's just encyclopedic brain about that. That and the Reds, you know, like that and baseball.
Batting averages of
batting
everybody
average.
who played baseball.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
I was reading a post of his right before he came in from complaining.
I saw that.
Baseball game last night.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was a dense post.
He pretty much broke down everything. He was like an ESPN hot take on it.
Yeah.
It's like Sports Center in text form. Oh gosh.
This is a piece of work, man.
But I have run across some like people that I just like, you know, I look at it, it's like I have to paint this person, you know.
Oh yeah.
I hope you have.
Yeah. It's hard, you know, it's interesting when you think about it, like you know, what makes it, you know, what's the criteria, you know, and they're all for like different reasons, but it's all about it being just striking, you know, like you look at the person, you're like, wow, there's something striking about you, you know, that I can actually tell, you know, share insight about myself through you, you know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like my friend Christopher, which might predate you joining us, Ray. Christopher the model, our founding members.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Really striking.
Totally.
Striking guy. And I grew up with him, and like my entire life, whenever he visits, I'll have clothing that I'm like about to get rid of, and he'll be like, "Can I have that?" And I'll give it to him, and I'll be like, he looks so good in it. He looks so much better than I ever did that I'll be like, give it back to me. You're like, no, this isn't going to Goodwill anymore. I'm keeping it.
And that's when Gianna's going to be really helpful for you, Timmy.
Yeah. And that's how you ended up in a camper. I get it.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
At least you're not down by a river, man.
Yeah.
That's right.
You don't know where my camper is, John.
Though you're
Well, last
pretty
time I
close to
saw it
Yeah,
was in your backyard.
yeah.
You're a lot closer to the
And
river.
I'm guessing since you have internet, it's probably close by.
Yeah, I'm in a Starbucks parking lot.
McDonald's parking lot, because they always have internet,
Yeah.
or they used to anyway.
No, my camper has become a nice little workspace.
It is a cool thing.
That's cool.
Was it at the Scamp? Is that what it's called?
It's a Scamp, yeah. Gianna and I got it just in time for pandemic to park it in my backyard. So
Just in time for you to move into it after you got married.
yeah,
It made a wonderful bar at your wedding.
yeah.
Nice camper bar. I like it. I like that idea. All right.
Yeah, as far as camper investments go, I don't recommend it.
There's a bell going off.
Hey, that's the time, huh?
Is that the time?
It's the time.
Yep.
I sat and screwed around with my previous drawing the whole time. So you don't have to show it to me.
Okay.
I still didn't get done with it.
That cuts out a third of our third of the studios that we get to visit, though. You know.
Yeah, it cuts down a third of the content.
Look at it again. It's just pretty much the same. I was doing all kinds of stuff.
Oh God.
It's funny
Yeah,
you're talking about faces. As much as I liked her face, I liked the drawing better without her face in it.
I attempted it like 6 times, and just couldn't make it happen.
You're a better man than I am. I did it like twice.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then the hair on the bottom of her neck.
Yeah,
That just
That
ruined
was
the
out.
shape of her neck. So I just I left it out.
yeah, that was out.
But you know, these are the kinds of things that I think people who are trying to learn how to draw, I think it's good for them to think about, like this area right here. That's, you know, that to me, that like that's the shape of her neck and her chin, and to add that hair in a silhouette wouldn't add any useful information.
Right.
You know.
So one of you guys want to draw again, or you want to make me draw?
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to draw again.
All right, right.
Let's rock and roll this here. Let's see, what do we got? I would love to do the jean jacket.
What?
Right.
The jean jacket.
I printed these in black and white. I got it.
What's a printer?
It is a jean jacket.
Yeah, John, do you want me to fax you the?
Yeah, please do. It's working really well right now.
You know, I was
Gary Kelly by fax.
talking about faxes. I remember one time I was early on, like I had won, you know, my like the biggest award I had won at the time was like my gold medal at the Society of Illustrators. I was like riding high. I was just like, oh, I can't believe I did it. You know, I did this, and I was sitting in around like a whole bunch of chairs with like a circle of chairs with Greg Manchis, Mark Summers, David Johnson, and Tyler Jacobson was there. My buddy Eric Johnson was there, and we were just. I think Jim Bennett was there, and we were just asking him questions. They were all, you know, our heroes, right? And so we got to talking about fax machines, and Mark Summers would talk about how when he first, when fax machines came by, it was the first time that, because he lives in Canada, that he was able to expand the amount of like clients that he could work with. I mean, and so he was working with clients, you know, and doing deadlines that he otherwise couldn't have. And so, but the problem was fax machines were so expensive that you'd have to go down to a fax place, and the closest one was like a couple of miles away from his house. So what he would do is hop on his bike and go and to the fax place and then send his sketches out. And so he would talk about how, like, it was great, and it was like he thought he was living in the future up until like, you know, every time up until art director started sending like leaving him voice messages. So by the time he came, you know, with changes, and so he would bike all the way over to the fax place, and then when he would get home, he would all of a sudden he'd look at his phone, and he'd see it would be beeping, you know, with it would be flashing, the mailbox would be flashing, saying that, you know, he had like a voice message, and it was usually an art director asking for changes. So then he would have to change the sketch, make the changes, then bike back to the fax machine place and do that time and time again. And so it became like this bane of his existence, you know, and just having him retell that story, you know, especially during like really hot days, you know, it'd get really hot, and it's always they would always need changes when the weather was awful, or it was like, you know, he almost died getting over there or coming back, you know.
But he got in really good shape.
Yeah, he probably got really good shape. Yeah. So
I like vaguely remember before the mobile phone that like going somewhere with my dad and him having to like go up to somebody and be like, what's the phone number here?
yeah.
Yeah. And then he had to like call somebody and be like, if I get a call this number.
Yeah. And like when you tell somebody like, I'm going to be here at this time, you would just wait for them, you know.
Oh yeah, and then you'd have no idea.
I
remember I was supposed to go to a soccer game once, and my mom just drove us around for like an hour and a half and was like, sorry, I can't find the place. And we just went home. It was like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or the directions of how to get home.
Oh
we
my
would write
God,
it
yeah.
down.
God.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So for this one, I'm going to try that exaggeration thing. Bill got me thinking that I need to stop becoming a copier and actually design a little bit.
I was really hoping you would go there.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to say anything. Ray, you're too hard.
I know. I make
like,
it too easy. I make it too easy.
Bill was
When
like,
did I say you needed to exaggerate more?
Bill, you don't remember saying, unlike Raymond.
Yeah. You did
So
use
Ray-
those words.
I actually try to make art and be creative in my work. Unlike,
Yeah.
remember when you said that right at the beginning,
Yeah.
Bill?
Isn't that why we started talking about fax machines?
Yeah, that's why. That's why Timmy felt bad and started talking about fax machines. Yeah, and about fax machines.
On the topic of just copiers.
Oh no, I thought you were trying to change the subject to make me feel better, but you only made me feel worse.
No.
We like to refer to it in the industry as a wrist.
Right. Or array. You don't want to be array about the whole
An R,
thing,
just
you know?
an R.
Yeah, just an R.
New people joining tonight. Like,
I apologize.
This was
This
supposed
is
to
a very-
be Heckle Ray.
those guys are really mean. And
Ray
like,
they're saying Ray seems like a really nice guy. I don't know why.
Yeah.
and they have really strong opinions on the fitness and size of people. Yeah.
I can't help it if actors all have these enormous heads. I can't,
Yeah.
I'm an observer of life.
It's not me, it's the actors.
Truly bizarre convictions those guys have.
Talking about big heads, Ray, you want to draw something else?
I think I'm going to recuse myself next week and go find something else.
You mean cleanse for a week?
Yeah.
We need a good cleansing.
Well, we needed like Ashley or Audrey or Vanette, like literally any women who draw with us, just be like, guys, shut up.
Yeah. Well, we're usually pretty quiet because they're usually like, kicking our asses, just like, and actually drawing incredible pieces, and I'm like, oh, I should probably concentrate on what I'm doing,
Yeah.
But you guys keep me on my toes for sure. Where's this? What was I gonna? I was gonna say something. Oh, before I got derailed talking about myself, I was. We were talking about the design of shapes, right? I was looking at the the creative illustration, a section in creative illustration where Loomis talks about like the big shape approach and things like that, or like the soft approach, or like the blocky treatment.
Call it, so you want to call it shape welding, or is that where have I heard? Well, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
yeah.
Return to shape design is shape welding.
I might have.
Might have been Pyle.
Oh, it might have been. Yeah, it might have been. Actually, I think that might have came up in his description of maybe how Pyle's technique, or how he broke down his like 3 value.
Yeah, when he was doing all of his, he was doing the value studies of Pyle's work.
Right. I think that's probably where it came up. And but yeah, well, actually, talking about that, like what he was able to get done and accomplish, like in those just simple value studies, even like the ones. So he did the copies of Pyle's work, and then he would do his own, and then you could just see how beautiful they were, just like in this, how they just read like the painting it would have read, even though it was just these simple values. And then even like in the techniques of like the approaches of things, and how he went about painting an image based off of like how could you different ways of handling an image, and leveraging that based off of like deciding which way based off of the type of painting that you might be dealing with, and all of it was always like these beautifully designed big shapes, or like the camera sees too much, the eye selects. I love that quote from him, where he takes the photograph of a woman who has a really complicated dress. Well, it's a dress with like all these folds, and he completely simplifies the folds, and just paints in the major masses, and makes the painting look more realistic than the photograph does, or more believable, and I just love that idea. And it's something that I have to constantly remind myself that, it's to do, because it's it's easy to just, even though like I spent a ton of time editing my reference, it could just be a starting point. It doesn't necessarily have to be an end point either, but
no, I totally agree with that.
It's my favorite exercise. Anybody that wants an exercise to get better at composition, practice exactly what Loomis was doing by copying those piles, is practice the 3 value thumbnail of really well verified artwork, things that are really well designed. Pick artists that you're going to trust, pick Gary Kelly, pick
right.
God, a number. I mean, any illustrator or painter that has a good design sense. And then don't spend the time on the master copy, it has its place.
Right.
But really break down the pictures and what makes them work just in 3 value. And you'll start to feel what what good thumbnailing is, for one. You'll learn that, but you'll start to understand what really makes those pictures work at a really high level. The basic construction of them. I'm trying to think of.
Would Thomas Blackshear be a?
Tom would be great. Dean Cornwell would be awesome.
Hopper would be good.
Hopper.
Ukes would be great.
Meet Schaefer. Heck, you could break down a Kobe Whitmore. We talked about Kobe Whitmore, or Al Parker, or.
Yeah. My dad would be okay to do that for.
He'd be okay. He'd be no.
Okay.
He'd pass.
I was thinking of who's the oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? I'm having might be just at the end of the day for me for teaching. the artist who he studied actually with Pyle. He was an incredible designer and painter, but he ended up retiring from the field by taking all of his work that he could find and burning it after. Oh my God.
Not Mead Schaefer. Not.
No.
Um,
He did the Pete's Parrot. You ever seen that one? It's like a.
I don't know.
Oh my God. Who's this? It's the one with the parrot and the guy's like, it's a guy like this buccaneer looking guy with like a teeth punched out. We used to joke.
Not Schoonover.
No, not Schoonover. He was one of those Pyle students that you're like, oh, he studied with Howard Pyle? Oh, he's never usually, and now people are like, love
Wasn't
his.
associated with him?
Yeah, not necessarily because I don't know how long his career was. He wasn't really great on, apparently he would fight with art directors all the time with deadlines and things like that. And, but he had just this incredible approach. And now it's not Franklin something, I forgot. I'll get the name. I'll remember it. But of course, it's very helpful since we're mentioning names that I mentioned somebody that I can't name.
Get used to it, man.
Yeah,
but
I went to that. The students of Harvey Dunn and his students show at Norman Rockwell Museum.
Yeah,
and I saw Sarah Stillwell Weber's. It was like a woman with leopards. You ever seen that one? She's in a red dress. And it's part of the Kelly collection.
Yeah.
And that thing, I walked around. So I did that first, and this is something I'd recommend to and people who are listening. Try walking around with like get into a room with like these super well designed paintings, and walk around with your phone on, but turn your phone viewer into black and white, like monochromatic, and walk around. And you could walk around all of these images, and you could see it didn't matter how many colors were in there. The values were just exquisitely designed, and they were just incredibly simple too. The strength in the design on it.
You're making it too easy. Do the 3-value thumbnail.
Right.
And draw it. Practice drawing. That 3-value thumbnail is an amazing tool, and it will help you understand what makes those pictures so great.
Yeah.
It will help your design.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you got to do it. I mean, it's fun to read about it, but it's really useless unless you actually practice it, because
I mean, most of the stuff I do doesn't have more than 3 values, maybe 4 to start out with.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and when I was doing the landscapes, I mean, some of the color is off, but the value is what really makes the things read.
Well, I'm going to quote Ray here. Something he said, I caught that he said one day that I thought was really smart. So Ray said, most of the time when people ask me what's wrong with the color, a student asks me what's wrong with the color in the piece, 99% of the time it's the value, not the color.
Yeah.
And that is true.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
wow,
I've got
that's pretty smart.
It is.
Yeah. For you.
For me, yeah, for me.
I'm sorry, George isn't here, so I just.
You had to fill in. I like that.
Yeah. Bill, you got so much work to do. I mean, like I feel bad for you. There's no George, no Dale.
So I've got a list here of Howard Pyle's. I got Howard Pyle, Rockwell, Lanedecker, Parrish, Howard Chandler Christie.
Oh yeah.
Schoonover, Wyeth, Violet Oakley, Jesse Wilcox.
All the Red Grows girls.
Yeah.
Jesse Wilcox Smith, Elizabeth Shippen Green. Are any of those the people you're talking about?
No, I'll. Oh my God, I have to. That's just gonna bother me. It's he's in Illustrator in America. If anybody has that book.
Okay, well, let me stop drawing and go grab it and just see.
Yes. So I love coming here. You guys are just as much history nerds as I am.
I don't.
I'm going to need about a day more to finish this piece.
It's a huge compliment to the art, to the photo, right? I mean, just like wanting to do it justice.
Well, it's, something, okay, well, here's, drawing like this is a perfect face we're drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's harder for me. There's nothing, really nothing really to grab on. It's like perfection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's side lit too.
Oh, yeah. That's why I rubbed mine out and just dealt with the side light.
Oh, I just did the same thing, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I can't deal with this perfect face. So
I have nothing left on my page. I rubbed it out so much. So.
When you guys say, because I think it might be a little confusing. Some people, maybe not confusing, but people might want more like elaborating, or maybe it's just hyperbolic. But when you say like a perfect face, you're talking about like the design, right? The shape.
Yeah, there's not a. I mean,
it's not like we were talking earlier about like conventional beauty. That's not the comment. It's more of just the aesthetic for drawing, design.
Yeah. This is a pretty softly lit face too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
A lot of it's in shadow, and there's not a whole lot to grab onto.
right. And you can't really see the bridge of her nose too much if she has one at all.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you have
but
like
it's not a piece of reference that you would use to define structure in the
right.
face.
So you've got like the light side, and then because you're looking on the screen, it looks very flat.
Mm-hmm.
Because the light side and the dark side are almost, they're really close in value, so it's really flattened out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I view it as like when I hear like perfect face, it's just the design. You don't really have to push the design; it's already kind of built into it. There's a really nice flow to the face. Everything is, and I could do this because I could just put another layer on it. But like everything has this beautiful contrapposto pose that is, you can see it. It's like an S shape going through this whole thing like this, and this is what makes the photograph so good. So trying to maintain that gesture is in there, but everything kind of echoes that, even the face, the way that goes into the neck and the shoulder, and that comes out to the outside of the pelvis and goes back in, these counter rhythms. I mean, that's what makes it beautiful. And when we talk about like just not worrying about that, not messing it up, there's nothing for me to add in terms of that. I'm just trying to capture it as close as possible, and if not, attempt to push those aspects of that. So I don't know if that.
No, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, I treated it like a fashion drawing.
Right. Totally.
Just it's as simple terms as possible. I mean, just getting that the shape in her body, and the way she's posed, and the way that would be how all the poses in like clothed figure class were at the Academy of Art. They'd be like,
yeah, totally. I was just gonna say like Barbara would tell us that,
Yeah.
Hey Ray, I think people might have missed it. Can you show that S shape again one more time? Sorry.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm gonna draw it better. Thank goodness nobody saw that one. I was really clumsy. All right. So you can see and I'll do it on the reference just so you can see the reference. It's probably a little bit easier. So there's an S shape that goes, oops. Goes like this. And you could see it, everything kind of follows that design. And it's a very beautiful shape because it carries the eye all the way through, right? And you'll see that like everything kind of echoes that, even down to the hair. And then you could also see the counter sort of rhythms going through it on the other side as well. So it keeps the eye constantly flowing. And like if you look at the design of the picture, and this is what we were talking about, how like photographers, you know, they're trying to capture everything all in the piece, right? I mean, everything goes towards, you know, the face. I mean, it's built upon like really strong shapes. Like, why is this eye lit more so than this eye right in here? Well, it's because of that, you know.
And then that strong light on the side of her, which is, it's the highest value, you know.
Exactly.
It's even higher than the white top that she's wearing, you know. And
exactly.
That pulls you all the way up to her face.
Right. And it's just like, why are these lines in the background? Like, it's not a coincidence that they're going right through her eyes, you know, or
Right.
these vertical lines keep you down in here, and this one strong line comes down in here, and then everything kind of curls back, and you'll see that constantly in really great, well-designed images, you know. And that's why this stuff is medium agnostic, right? I mean, a beautiful image is a beautiful image. A well-designed image is a well-designed image, and I call it, when something's beautiful for me, it's something I'm constantly going back to and like experiencing over and over again, as if it's the first time I'm experiencing it.
Yeah, you see, you know, those are leading lines, and you see that a lot in Cartier-Bresson's photos. You know,
Totally. Yeah.
He uses those lines to like move you around the image, and you also, you know, you also see it in films too, like where somebody's walking towards you, and there's this wall behind them, you know, that leads you right to, you know, to the person that they're walking to, or whatever, to the object.
Yeah, and think like little things like why, you know, like the lampshade would be, you know, if you have a character that's talking, you'll see things like little things like the lampshade or a phone angled towards, you know, that person, or someone's shoulder runs a leading line right through, you know, or why, you know, you see it. I mean, comic book art is a classic example. I mean, like, there's a reason why people point a lot, you know, in images, right? It's like, because it's like, look over here, you know.
Kind of on that, this is a bit of a side note, but what you were saying about those lines was really interesting to me, because I recently, I'll see if I can dig it up and send it to the Facebook group tomorrow. I saw a list of like historical photos that were journalistic photos, so they're not commercial by any means, of like historical events where there was like a very subtle, basically a problem with the photo, whether it be a line or the composition, their compositional issues that essentially like were like basically approved by the journalistic community for being retouched before going to print. And it's like a very technical process, because I'm like, in fact, many journalists have gotten in like very, very serious trouble for retouching their photos.
Oh yeah.
But these were instances where essentially like they went through an approval process to basically be like, I believe one is actually the Kent State shooting photo has been retouched to.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It was they removed, there was a pole in the back of the photo that was just it like kind of basically just messed up the photo.
Wow.
Or that's how they felt, at least. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it muddied up what they were trying to communicate.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find it, because there's only a few photos, and when you look this up, most of what you're going to find is like journalists who have completely destroyed their careers by creating completely fake photos, or like
right,
like basically spreading horrible, like non-truth, like
totally.
But yeah,
that's probably what people click on.
I'm gonna post a link to do you know Robert Frank's photos, Timmy?
I'm about to learn a bit more.
Go to the link in the in the that I just posted, but there's one of like a railway station, and it's a guy getting his shoes shined in a bathroom, and you just see how he used the tops of the urinals as like leading lines.
I see. Yeah.
Right. You know, and then, I mean, in all of his photos too, you know, you can see it.
Yeah.
You know what really got me on that, like, was one of the first things I remember thinking of, like, helping me think about that, besides like running into the Brandywine artist's work on a behind the scenes segment of on the DVD of Treasure Planet, Disney animated movie, was somebody. I took a summer class at SVA from an artist by the name of Sal Amendola. I don't know, Bill, you know Sal Amendola by any chance?
I know who Sal Amendola is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had no idea who he was until I took a class with him, and it was like incredible. And he gave us a huge packet, and in the packet was Wally Wood's, I forgot how many panels that always work.
Oh yeah.
And it's this great collection of like, these panels always work. Like, it's like so and so is like two people.
Panels that always work.
Yeah, and it's like a lesson in shape design, you know. And it's like that, John, what you were saying. You know, you always quote, Brett's work, Brent's saying like it's a puzzle for a dumb guy, you know. And they always work. Like, there's such powerful images, which is why that communicate instantly. And I think that's the kind of leads back to this, what we were talking about with this photograph. And anything that, you know, I'm deleting stuff that doesn't support that, like to support that shape, if it goes slightly against it, or if I feel that it's, you know, when I'm trying to paint it, if it doesn't work with my idea, because I only have a certain amount of time too, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to get it out.
Right.
Which is funny that it's always synonymous with things like time limits and things like that, and like comic book artwork, and, you know, and fashion drawing, like stuff that has to be done fast. But the principles, you know, were born in like the great paintings of, you know, our age. I mean, like all of like the Brandywine artist stuff, or even down to Jerome, or, you know, Bouguereau, or Paul de la Roche, like, you know, these which weren't done very quickly, you know, when compared to something like comic book artwork. So the stuff has to just look super strong. I mean, we were talking about Thomas's work, right? I mean, you could look at that King Kong poster, and it's just filled with it's built so simply. It's almost like, oh my goodness, you know, it's incredibly intricate image, but everything is built like place in there, you know, to such an exquisite fashion. That's what makes it like a great, beautiful image. But I could talk about Thomas's work ad nauseum. And
no, absolutely. I mean, that's a great example too.
You're referring to, you didn't say his last name, Thomas Blackshear.
Oh, Thomas Blackshear. Sorry, Thomas Blackshear.
I just shared a link. I should also chime in and say that I looked to try to look up the article I was telling you guys about, and I immediately found like Time Magazine's like defense of their use of the photo, and they blamed the photographer. And so basically everything I said was like not true.
You heard it here, folks.
It was just like bogus. It was just like bogus complaints. No, the photographer retouched it, and it was not accepted by the journalism. The world of journalism was enraged by it, and
so you took the photographer's side on it. And
so apparently the photographer got heavily criticized for that decision, and that there's not a governing body of journalists deciding what historical photos to retouch.
Yeah.
So,
well, do
you stick around too long?
Do you remember the Time?
I'm glad I stuck around. Yeah.
Timmy, do you remember the Time Newsweek thing with the photo of O.J. Simpson?
Wait. Well, could you refresh my memory? I think I do.
So there's a photo. There's a photo of O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
That was his mugshot that was used on the cover of Newsweek, and then I believe it was Matt Mahurin was hired by Time to take the same cover and alter it, and it's much darker, and it's much
Oh, it's awful.
yeah, and it's like it was really controversial too. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he took a lot of flack for that.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Matt did?
I believe so, yeah. But it was also like the difference between what is a photograph and what is a photo illustration and what reality is.
Right.
I'm going to post a link. It's from the Bronx Documentary Center on Altered Images.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it raised a lot of really good questions, I felt, because if he had just done a painting, it would have been a different situation. But
Yeah,
Well,
it kind of goes into like the landscape we're in today with news, where it's like, it's like it really is should be a resource for information, not you know, when it steps away from editorial.
right. I also remember a thing years ago I read where an artist was talking about the difference in the way like an illustration was perceived and the way a photograph was perceived.
Mm-hmm.
And that a lot of people, like if you do a very dark image, as an artist, people sort of wonder, like, how do you feel that way? Does that represent you? But if a photographer takes a horrific, a photo of like a horrific image,
Yeah.
They're not instantly associated with the same kind of darkness or the same kind of, assumption of mental illness.
Right.
Because
the expectations are different, is what you're saying. Like
right. And so like it's seen in a whole different light.
Yeah.
I really like what John's doing with that drawing.
Yeah.
Our time is
That's awesome.
That looks great.
Are we done?
I don't know. I'm not.
No, you're done. It looks good.
But it's
Yeah, Bill.
That's awesome.
I will say, Bill, I met a war photographer probably like 4 or 5 years ago named. It was embarrassing because I pronounced his last name wrong when I met him, and he's like James Noctway.
Oh, I know who he is.
Did you meet James Nockway?
He's amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
he's an amazing photographer.
He doesn't remember me. I like guarantee it. Unless maybe I embarrassed myself enough that. No, but I met him before a lecture that he gave at University KU. Yeah, we were at KU.
Yeah.
On Lawrence, and that was a big part of his lecture. And this is like years ago, so I'm trying to remember it exactly, but there was some like trouble with that, like the judgment of capturing these images and not stepping in when he did, or
right,
and him thinking,
not stopping the thing from happening.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think was, I don't know, it might be, but I'm definitely butchering it, but he essentially kind of a lot of his photography was in regards to hunger. And those photos are like really difficult to look at, and a lot of the judgment was, what did he do, like being there, and I think he had like it seemed to trouble him, but then a lot of it was his the work that his photography was used to bring attention to that. I mean, it's similar in regards to like all forms of art and like how it can shed light on a movement,
right.
How it can shed light on a problem. like what you were just talking about, that like the dark, like the troublesome nature of like a tragic or disturbing photo or artwork. It's like, if anything, it was very clear hearing him speak that he was more troubled by the things he had taken photos of than anyone else. He was so troubled, in fact, he couldn't stay away from it.
Right.
Yeah.
He talked about 9/11. Actually, he brought his camera down on the street because I think his studio was really close to the towers. He was on a news program talking about it, and then I think Time did published a whole series of his photos from that. But he talked about seeing the war was always sort of someplace else,
Mm-hmm.
and then that brought it home. That it was happening here. There's a great documentary too on Sebastião Salgado, where do you know the Brazilian photographer?
I don't know who that is.
He's an incredible photographer, and he has a book out called An Uncertain Grace. He photographed the people who were basically, I forget the country. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but they were digging in this like silver mine or this gold mine, and like they're caked in mud. He did images of the migrations of people. He did images of the famine in Somalia. But he said to counter that, he started doing nature photography, and
pictures of bunnies. Pictures of really simple things.
Really simple things. And like, but he and his wife started planting, I think it was in Brazil, replanting a forest. And so to sort of like trying to heal both himself and the things that he had seen sort of done to the earth by mankind or humankind.
Well, I could certainly see, because I don't know that photographer, but in Nakwe's pieces, the psychological damage of what he saw.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the first time I saw it, George Pratt had this huge book and presented it, had just gotten it while we were at the Academy.
John, and before anybody Googles it, I'll say it is.
It's disturbing.
Trigger warning, definitely. Yeah.
But it's gorgeous work, and just the fact that somebody witnessed and the struggles he had witnessing all that stuff I certainly get it.
He teared up. He teared up during the lecture, and it was kind of one of those things where you're like, oh wow, like to bring yourself back there to talking about it. It was like, how could you? Because I think the easier way to see something like that is you think like, well, James must be made as something tougher than me because I couldn't have gone through what he did. And you're just like, no, this is taking a toll, clearly.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. You got to see him, Timmy.
The only reason I got to see him was because I was with Nick Vidras. And so he was like, I'm going to go introduce myself. Come on.
The guy's amazing.
I would have stayed 100 feet away from him.
Who's that, Timmy?
He's a incredibly talented commercial photographer. He's one of the most talented photographers I've ever known, and he kind of taught me everything I knew about photography. Nick Vidras. If you're looking for some really powerful portrait work,
that shows you what kind of clout Timmy has because he photographed Timmy's wedding.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
I will look up. This is the book by Salgado.
Uncertain Grace.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check
I didn't mean
that out.
to stop to interrupt you, Timmy, because Nick,
no, John.
Nick definitely deserves the credit, man. He's a hell of a photographer.
He's a hell of a photographer. We were excited that he came to photograph my wedding. The deal with my wedding, though, was I called him and I was like, Nick, it's a pandemic wedding. We're going to have like 12 people there. If you're not family, you got to have a job. And he was like, I'll bring my camera.
So what my job was at Timmy's wedding was right when they were about to start the service, the school behind him, the lawnmower guy shows up. So they start mowing the
Oh
lawn
my
and they said, John, you got to make that stop.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
had
Basically,
to empty my wallet to the lawnmower guy, make him
Yeah,
go
it was-
away.
yeah, it was basically Gianna's family, my family, and then the Visual Arts Passage family.
All three of us.
Yeah, all three of us.
It was a great night.
Yeah.
And now you're
All right,
you're living in a camper.
Living in a
Yeah.
camp
Down by the river.
in a
You
in
peaked
a
early, man.
Taco
It's
Bell
okay. It
in a
happens.
Taco Bell parking lot.
Taco Bell. You've
Not
upgraded.
at all, man.
Yeah.
You live in the dream.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bill,
so
I might have to
we're
drag
gonna
out
do
to
the
you.
last pose.
Last pose. All
Last
right.
pose coming up.
All right.
And
right.
Bill, you're drawing again.
Oh God. Okay.
Let's see. I'm actually going on my other screen to try and find that Howard Pyle student. So I'm actually have it saved on Facebook. I just never. I have no idea how to access my saved stuff on the desktop version. Oh my God.
Let's see. So I guess I'll draw the cowboy hat. That's the only one left.
That's what we were thinking.
We're closing down the house, Bill.
Closing down the house, Bill.
Oh boy.
There it is.
Yeah. I'm just curious from the audience, who's drawing with us for the first time tonight? Or the last time?
That's what I was gonna say. Good question. Anybody?
Yeah. Awesome. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Very much hope that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. And I will say that every Friday I wake up, and this is like pre-pandemic. If I were to go to a friend's house, the next day I'd be like, I should text them and apologize for that stupid thing I said. And now every Friday I wake up and I'm like,
Thank goodness I didn't say that.
I
Somebody
need
else
to
did.
no, every Friday morning now I wake up and I think I need to message like a few hundred people.
I thought you were going to say, now I need to text them and apologize for that stupid thing Ray said.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
No. I still every Friday I'm like, I probably should write an apology email.
Now we know why he was gone for a month.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's too funny.
Yeah.
I
So
found the art.
all that being said, you know, we're always joking around and, you know,
We're trying to entertain ourselves.
we're trying to entertain ourselves. We're doing our best. And so,
If we didn't joke around or make fun of each other,
yeah.
then there's something wrong. Then we probably don't like each other.
Right.
You know.
hey guys, do any of you guys wake up really tired on Friday morning after this?
I wake up tired every day, Bill.
Oh well.
Every day is illustration isolation for me, Bill.
Wait, you wake up tired on Fridays?
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I just like
You think it's our fault?
yes,
And another thing that we're sick and tired of you doing.
yes.
We're gonna take
No, it's nobody's
calls
fault.
for that one too.
Fernando says it's 2 a.m. where he is. So yeah.
No, yeah.
Sorry, Fernando.
You win, Fernando.
Fernando, is this Fernando's first
And
episode? First and last, or first? It is.
And I almost like my drawing, but I can't get there. All right. So
By the way, I figured out the artist's name was Walter Everett. I don't know how I botched that.
who is it?
Anybody here? Walter Everett?
Oh yeah.
And this is the one I was talking about. If you actually go up
I just read he was at first with Pyle at the Delaware.
Right, at Delaware, right? Not at
Yeah, not at Brand.
not at Brandywine, right?
I
So
just
this is this famous piece. It's on my screen.
Oh, we got
One
it
of his
right.
favorite pieces.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
This thing is insane,
Nice sense of light on there, man.
and the color harmony is. And I'll see if I can find another one of his. But yeah, Walter Everett. Check this out. It goes. He went from that to this.
you got
Oh,
Pyle.
wow.
I mean, just. And then watch this one. Hold on. This is the last one, I promise. Look at that shapes. Holy
Yeah.
mackerel.
Ray, I missed your first one. Sorry, man.
Oh, here. Let's see.
Ray doesn't go back.
Ray does. Yeah. Sorry, Timmy. You're gonna have to just see it on the VOD.
Train only moves one way.
It's this one right here.
Ray, is
Look at
that?
that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
You see
I
that?
thought you
see
had your
that,
like Facebook messages open. I was like, Ray, you should close that.
Yeah. No, this is like a. It is my Facebook, but it's you know.
Yeah. No,
Just
it seems
comments.
safe. It seems
It's
safe.
all good. Hey, you owe me money. And then somebody was asking me about the we were talking about the Dean Cornwell with the pirate. But this is like a great album that Siddharth Chaturvedi, I think he studied at illustration. He went to Illustration Academy.
Yeah.
He's great, man, and he's got a great taste of art, or either that, or he just likes a lot of the same people that I like. Which is why I say it's like,
which is
yeah.
good.
But this is not the pirate thing that I was talking about, but in terms of the local value. But this is another Dean Cornwell that he pretty much does the same thing. You can see what I'm
Oh,
talking
that's
about.
cool.
How he pinches the local value so that everything's this beautiful three value thing. And I love the design of the branch, how it goes right into the head, and everything's just dynamite.
So that piece is in black and white with that orange.
Yeah, the original is, yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's
cool.
It's thick. It's you could see it's like caked on, you know.
That tea kettle or whatever in the corner, that's amazing.
Right?
How dark that is, and
Yeah.
a little bit of light on it.
And he just like, it literally is like, it's the classic Pyle. Like you could put light against light, dark against dark, middle tone against middle tone. You could do whatever you want. But whatever you do, you have to make sure that your focal point is the highest point of contrast. And that is like powered Pyle to the T in this Dean Cornwell. I mean, it just doesn't get any more clear than
what was
this.
the name of the other artist you mentioned?
Walter Everett.
Walter Everett. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's the whole like light against, he's a classic one too. Like it's just light against light, dark against dark, middle tone against middle tone. But wherever the focal point is, has to be the highest point of contrast.
All right, so we're going to do one more pose.
Yeah, let's do it.
Bill, you set?
In between poses, I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite. Did
Did you bounce around to everybody?
What's that?
I want to see. Did you bounce around to everybody?
I will. I'm going to really quickly, though, I'm going to share my favorite photo by Nick Vidros.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that fantastic? Yeah.
That is
man.
great.
So good.
That is great. Oh man, I love it.
All right, John. We're at your
Oh wow, that looks
screen.
beautiful, John.
Wow.
All right, well, motion to ban, John.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Well,
Wow.
that's what I was trying to do.
That's
but then
beautiful.
Nice, Bill.
and I didn't.
That light on her hair.
Yeah, it's really funny. I didn't want to draw that pose at all, just because she was very intimidating because she's so perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have to, like, if you're gonna pull it off, which
Well,
you did.
what you have to do is not draw very much of her. Just leave
Right?
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Be very subtle.
Just, and you got to nail it on the. Don't do much, but
That's right.
whatever you do, make sure
Get it
you're
right.
nailing it. Yeah.
All right. Yippee-ki-yay.
See, I love this like bend that's coming in this way. I've got to really push that. All of these photos have extremely strong silhouettes.
Hey, Timmy,
Yes.
are you? We're going to feature Bill, aren't we?
Sure.
Didn't Raymond? You just drew. I wasn't even looking at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
We did mine. I was
You
yesterday.
know, 3 in a
I
row.
was like,
God, you're greedy.
yeah, I want to maybe focus on this.
Okay, Raymond, what are we going to have to do? We've mentioned the your Friday drawing session. What are we going to have to do?
Actually, we moved it to Saturday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 Pacific. No, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time.
So what are we going to have to do to get Tyler in here too?
Oh man, you know he's
He's a busy dude.
he's a busy man, yeah, and I have no idea to be
He's got
honest with you.
Flesk is doing a book on him, isn't he?
Yep. So he's
Like you're hanging around with people having books written about him, and
yeah, I know, right? Hey guys, I tell you, the cocktail parties are great, right? I'm just trying to get into the cocktail parties with the nice hors d'oeuvres, because I've perfected I have the perfect Ziploc bag that I carry around. Well, we were supposed to go to the because he was going to be in the at the Norman Rockwell Museum for the Masters of Fantasy Art or something like that show.
Which is not being live, right? It's not.
No, yeah, I think it's next. It got pushed back to next year.
As
so
everything else.
As everything else, yeah. But it was actually, it's crazy actually. They had actually made it the same day, the opening, as the Society of Illustrators Hall of Fame.
The 25th.
Yeah.
With Tom.
Yep, with Tom. And
I got my invitation yesterday. I was really excited about that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and it was supposed to go live the original day back in, I think it was July, right? Sometime in July.
Yeah.
They were originally going to do it. And so then all this happened. But it's it would have been hard, because then I don't think a lot of people would have showed up.
Yeah.
That we were looking for, because everyone would have been at that incredible awards dinner. I mean, like, it's an incredible class, Barbara Neeson, Mobius, Tosh Blackshear, Drew Struzan. It's like, what?
Yeah, pretty good group.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all.
And there's something I know, and I feel bad sometimes we don't mention, and we should bring it up, is that, and you can see how important these things are to Ray and Bill and I and the other guests that join us. That's the Society of Illustrators. The New York Society of Illustrators, an organization that's basically curated American illustration for the last 110 or 105 or 110 years. And it was, I know Spectrum has kind of eaten into it, and so has the American Illustration and Communication Arts Annual. But when I got started, it was everything. It was it was the resource book that was originally designed for art, as a resource book for art directors to find talent.
Right.
Of course, Spectrum does a really good job of that. I'm glad that they're here. And the Communication Arts Illustration Annual is a phenomenal book with great illustrators in it. But I have a soft spot for the society just because of the history that's connected to it.
Absolutely.
And they have their Hall of Fame. So if you don't know what we're talking about, Google it, look it up, because it's really good. And there's also a Los Angeles Society of Illustrators, which is a really nice publication and a show that I used to enter a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do
yeah,
they
me
still have a book?
Pardon me?
I don't think Los Angeles has a book anymore.
I don't think they have a. I don't think they have a book. They have They do an online gallery thing. The last time I was there,
because they used to have a book, but
for people that are, people that are learning about the industry, and you're learning about the history of illustration, and then you want to pursue illustration, those resource books were designed for art directors to find talent, and use them backwards to find the art directors. And it will help you understand the industry really well. They're a phenomenal resource, and it's something that I think everybody should be aware of. Obviously they mean a tremendous amount to us, and for that reason, it's where we learned about how the industry worked, and you learned where all the great work for that year was done.
right.
yeah, and you could see. I mean, it's such a wonderful slice of history too. You could see what was relevant during the given time period, and what fell out of style, what fell in style, and you look at one of those from the '90s. It's like you just see this breadth of just incredible artists, that a generation of artists that people might not know of, and and so we talk. I actually was talking about this to Tyler actually during one of our shows, about how somebody like Drew Struzan or Thomas, were gigantic, were giants of their field, and or let's say your dad, John, just a complete giant of his field in illustration. But I bet you there must have come a point where more people knew him for his fine art than his illustration work, right?
Yeah, I think so, but contemporaries for sure.
Yeah.
But, I think he's pretty much solidified his reputation as an illustrator.
Totally.
People,
I guess he's a bad example, or somebody like Skip Lipke, or
Robert
someone who. Oh, Robert. Yeah, exactly.
He's the perfect example.
Perfect example. Because he's someone who people knew of all of just incredible fine artwork, and you never knew him, as a really kind of like a bread and butter illustrator as other people would have, given that time period. You see, I've seen early works from everyone, from just how you get to see how all these illustrators started. That's like when I talk about pieces that all these that John had done. I've seen this work I have old illustration directory stuff too, where like the old workbooks, or directory of illustration. I forgot what it was called. I have it upstairs, not the black book, but
Black Book, directory of
The
illustration.
workbook, the black book, all those things, all the places that took all my money.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just see I've seen Gary Kelly's his pen and ink stuff before his pastel stuff. That's wild. You could see people like Kadir Nelson when he was a student.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, he was still really good as a student. just, wild. Sterling's work I used to follow just religiously, when because he was a young up and coming illustrator when I was in school. So, it's a really great place. I mean, William Lowe, I mean, the list goes on. Like, I mean, you see all these artists that are just, you can see how they got their start, and you learn so much about art too, because once you get there, you want to see other things too, and you learn a lot about you can learn a lot about painting, a lot about design and the possibilities of things, especially from the older, I think the older annuals, because I think the solutions a lot of times had to be, there was only so much that was kind of possible with media, but you could see that they were able to get like these things that are a lot more easier to get today because of Photoshop, but what they were able to do with things like the airbrush is a classic example, like to get those transitions that you can get in Photoshop super easy. I mean, it took a higher level of skill than what was, in order to do that. But that Photoshop kind of wiped out. But at the end of the day, though, some of these solutions are super interesting. His name is escaping me. There was an artist who worked on who got like Photoshop-esque effects by using oil washes on Mylar, on Dualar. Like, he would paint both ends. It was Sergio something. He would paint both sides of like tracing paper, and he had this like beautiful glow of. It's just like absolutely incredible. But to get that digitally, you would look at it, you're like, how the heck is that even possible? Like, you can kind of sort of think about it, but like, it would, and you can fake it, but it would never get to that wonderful like texture of something that was like hand done, that imperfection, so yeah, I mean, Matt Mahern's work, when we were talking about Matt Mahern, like I love looking at his work. I gain a lot of it's amazing how fresh a lot of that stuff still looks, especially now.
He was like a rock star coming out of college. I mean, like almost immediately he was successful.
He was doing time covers coming out of college.
Yeah.
It's really funny because I was just gonna say, John, it's like, I really like what you tell students often, which is like, find out who inspires you or who you want to be like, figure out how they got there. And I was just about to say, and you'll often find that their overnight success took 15 years.
Right.
Yeah. Well, in most cases that's true, but he was a total anomaly.
Yeah.
He went to the Illustrators workshop. I remember meeting him when I was a teenager or a very young teenager. I think he was in Greg's class at Art Center.
Yeah.
Blanca.
When you are looking for inspiration, though, this is advice that I feel like I've heard the most, and it's like distilled down to one thing. And I feel like I've heard it echoed by some of the people that talk about their journeys with us, John, is like, it's a lot about time in the market, not timing the market, It's like just keeping at it.
Yep.
For a long time. Because it's this idea that if you quit, you might quit like the week before it all happens.
Right.
Yeah.
I use Chris Payne as an example of that all the time, because I got started well after Chris did. Mm-hmm. And then I got started pretty young and pretty fast. And Chris was like I don't want to say he was a good illustrator, but he wasn't like Chris Payne famous. He wasn't what he became. He was really just developing himself, and he wasn't extremely unique at that point. And man, all of a sudden he just exploded. His work became very personal, and he became a rock star, because he found his voice and he found himself. He just hung at it and just kept doing it. And
Oh, I mean, I'm not interested in the overnight success prodigy, you know. I love a story of like
yeah,
the hard work was put in.
Right.
Late bloomers are great. It's just because it's like so many more. It's most people, you know.
Right.
That's good to hear, because I went through a period where I was getting work and then I stopped getting work completely, along with many, many people that I knew. And there was like a good chunk of time when only a very small number of people were getting work. And people whose bread and butter was illustration work. A lot of us on the West Coast like really had to scramble to find other ways to make a living. And then just a few years later, you had a whole new group that's about 15 years younger than I am, just people in like their early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, who started to do incredibly well. And kind of a rejuvenation of the illustration market or illustration.
The Sterling age.
Yeah, and like Sterling, and then a lot of the guys that sort of studied with Sterling and kind of came after him. I mean, there's always been people that have been able to get work consistently, who are very, very good. But they also do a ton of work. People that do spot illustrations, and you just have no idea how many illustrations they actually do. Just because spot illustrations don't pay very much. And so the stories, I like the stories like Tin Cup, the comeback stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are the ones that I like.
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah. Bryan Cranston, yeah.
Right?
I want Bryan Cranston's career.
The self-made guys like Cranston.
Well, I mean, it was like Malcolm in the Middle, and then all of a sudden it was like iconic television star in his in his late 40s.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an underdog story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Ray, do you remember the illustrator Fred Ottness?
Of course. Okay.
Okay, so Fred, he became like a really, really successful, very personal with his work, great illustrator, great artist.
Mm-hmm.
But he was doing those, like those painted Westerns book covers for years. I mean, just.
Oh, really?
And all of a sudden, in his late 40s, early 50s, he became Fred Ottness.
yeah.
Wow.
Back, he's got all these like Western covers that were traditionally painted.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
He was probably my dad's closest friend in Connecticut. And, it had, as my dad said, he taught him a lot about the painting world. I mean, because Fred's interest was the contemporary painting scene in New York. And so they used to go together to the city all the time and go to all the galleries and look at contemporary painting.
Right.
Wow. Fred really helped educate him just because of his understanding of the New York art, the painting world. But Fred wasn't able to I guess make it happen on his own work until he was in his late 40s, early 50s, and then he became this super success of this really innovative thing that had never been done before, and it was very personal. It was very, so you never know when that's going to happen. You just stay at it forever, and it might happen at a really late time. I use Chris as an example too, because it wasn't that, Chris wasn't that old when it happened, but he had been working as an illustrator for 12, 13 years before it exploded.
I'm trying to, somebody won the Academy Award for Best Screenplay. This is like 6 or 7 years ago. He had never written a screenplay before, and he was like 84.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
And
wow.
his acceptance speech, he just said,
That's so cool.
he went up to the mic and he just goes, "So I guess I'm a late bloomer." I'll try and get all the details on that, but yeah, that's such a John, like you're saying, it's like, and somebody just said, it shows you never know who's paying attention. I didn't know this. It's maybe true. I'm trusting the person who posted it, that Vince Gilligan remembered Bryan Cranston just from like a random X-Files episode.
Oh
And you're like, that's wild. It's like, you never know, like you might get, it could be Vince Gilligan wrote the episode. Okay. But like, your life can change with one phone call or with one new friendship,
Yeah. No,
I
true.
say friendship because like you should be nice to people.
Well, yeah, that was something I heard about from a friend of mine who's a film editor, and he said that in the movie business, the person who's serving you lunch might end up being the producer like a few years later. So,
Bill, I learned it really quickly, and maybe I'm giving myself too much credit, but I felt like I did pretty well as a photo assistant. And I was a really bad photo assistant.
You're right, Jimmy. You are giving yourself way too much credit.
No, but it was because I was like, I befriended the people I wanted to assist,
Right.
Yeah. And they were like, "Oh man, feel bad for Timmy. You gotta throw him a bone."
He's just really bad. I mean, like, but I feel bad for that.
You mean you were smart? Is that what you're trying to say?
I still remember.
Well, to what you were saying, Bill, about like also just markets changing and things like that, you just don't know. I mean, like, my early career, I scraped by trying to do fantasy work, and I thought that's what I had to do to make a living, and I could find work, but it was never enough,
Right.
And it wasn't until like I decided to take a job doing theater posters, for my local university, the university I teach at, that I started to win awards because it was work that I actually wanted to do, and work that it was just the perfect fit,
Right.
And then even from that, I mean, I struggled for years while I went to school with a lot of artists who did really well coming out of school really quickly.
Oh yeah.
And so, when you have that, it was just one of those classes. Like George talks about the class that he went with, right? With like Kent Williams, with John Van Fleet,
Mark Chiarello.
Yeah, Mark Chiarello. Oh God, I love Mark Chiarello's work. He's another one.
He has a new project he's working on, a baseball book.
Oh really?
Yeah, another baseball book. Yeah.
Oh man, he's so good.
So,
God, he's so good.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt, guys, but John, if I were to leave now, are you guys gonna burn down this Zoom room?
Of course.
Probably not. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is everything all right?
Everything's gonna be fine, Timmy. Just see you later.
Trying to get by.
Bye.
Is he gone yet? Is he gone yet, John?
Thank you.
I'm gonna do the fake leave. I'll rejoin as an attendee.
Ray keeps texting me. He goes, "Man, you told me he was going to leave a lot earlier."
Yeah. I said, he's like really taking a lot of Timmy minutes to get out of here.
I've enjoyed the company.
Timmy, you gotta do that thing where you walk away and like make your steps sound really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, really great hanging out with you guys tonight. Thanks
for joining us, Timmy.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, letting me in the room. Sorry you hit the wrong button.
Great story.
I'll post my drawings later. Yeah.
You're working on it off camera.
Yeah.
You got
exactly.
Thanks, Timmy.
All right.
Well, that's good because I'm done. So
Draw for a couple more minutes, guys.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I got distracted. I was trying to find a book to show Ray, and I never found it. And
I like that line around the figure you got going there, John.
thanks. Part of the book collection I got from my father after he passed away. I got the original, like, paperbacks of the original Society of Illustrators annuals.
Whoa.
Oh,
I was going to ask you because I've looked at the first annual ever, and there was you were talking about how like it was designed to get illustrators hired by our art directors. So there was like one place that art directors could go to. I forgot who wrote that for. Was it Albert Dorn or Robert Fawcett that wrote for the first because the first annual for Society of Illustrators.
I got to go look at it. Probably Dorn, but could be Fawcett.
Because he explained that he literally said exactly what you were saying. Like it's just like, you know, it's like we've seen a need for them, you know, a place that people can go. That's the greatest examples of illustration that's been doing today. It's like a collected place so that, you know, we can promote and have illustration grow. So it can grow with, you know, in the number of patrons that it's supported. And I thought it was like, oh yeah, wow, that's really cool the way they had seen it, because I'd never seen somebody explain it like that. It was always just a fixed. It was just always a thing, you know. When I was coming up, I just never knew that there was like, oh, this was the reason somebody had to put this together. It's like, you know, like
it was the way, you know, that art directors could, you know, find them and
right
and choose the talent.
You know, take it in your own hands.
Right. I mean, nowadays it's so different.
That's what Spectrum does now, and all the other annuals, and it's really important to the industry. And I also think it's really important that, you know, people getting started out understand that you can use those. You know, art directors don't do a great job finding new talent. I don't think the way they pursue it is by the people that pursue them.
Yeah.
Right.
It gives you the information to pursue them. I talk about it all the time with students. It's like, use this stuff the other way.
I mean, I've spent hours like going through communication arts or the Illustrators annuals or whatever it is to get to build a list of people to send it to, because
absolutely, you
can not only see who did the work, what kind of work they're using, and get an idea of the subject matter, but you can also you can discover publications that you may not have known about, or clients you may not have known about.
See who they did it for, and
and who the art director was, and
the venue, the whole bit. It's all there. It's very helpful.
I mean, that's what those books, besides looking at the artwork, I mean, that's what those books, you know, for illustrators at least, I mean, that's what they're for.
Right. Right.
That was you know, when I went to the awards night this year, it was I hadn't been in about 5 or 6 years. And it made me think, I forgot because it had already happened, but like when I used to go to those nights, all you saw was original pieces. And so now you just see these printed, you know, a lot of printed versions, not a lot of originals. It was such a great thing to see, you know, some of this illustration work, you know, to walk up to it and see when people were painting, you know, recently, see this just great works, you know, beautiful drawing and painting. And it was still, a really fun thing to see and all of that, but I missed that feeling of, wow, all this original stuff is here.
Right. because there's the actual piece. There it is, right there. There's a real one.
Yeah, I had a chance to go to the Society of Illustrators and the what was his name? It was Illustration House in New York.
Oh yeah, Roger Reed.
Yeah,
Walter Roger. Yeah.
I dated myself. I said Walt Reed.
Yeah.
His father.
Was there. He opened the door for me.
Oh wow.
It was so incredible, and he showed me around and all these original artworks. It was. I think it was the second time that I was at the Illustration Academy. I went back to New York. I went back through New York and spent a couple of days there. And I had the chance to see all this original artworks. As you were saying, John, it's just really amazing to see the real thing, the artwork itself. It's so inspiring.
I had a similar experience when I went to the Society of Illustrators in 2014, and I remember they had the portraits of all the past.
Isn't that so cool? Yeah.
And there's like an Austin Briggs drawing right there at eye level.
Yeah. Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah.
I could. Yeah.
Bob Peak originals. Yeah.
Yeah. That illustration house. I remember. I would go every single time I was in town to visit my parents, and it was like talking to Walt Reed was like. It was like meeting. I don't even know who I can equate it to, but like he actually saw Dean Cornwell paint. You know, like he knew Norman Rockwell. He knew all these people, and there was like a direct connection between, you know, what I was studying and the art that I loved and him. You know, it was just wild. You know, and I felt like I could just ask him any question I wanted, and he'd be able to answer it. You know.
You mean Walt Reed?
Yeah, Walt Reed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, what was Dean Cornwell like? You know, or what was, you know, I was like, did you ever meet? You know, I would just do this like, I was like a kid. You know, you know, I was like 25. You know, it was like, what was? Did you know Norman Rockwell? You know, it's just like, yeah, you know, I know Norman Rockwell. You know. What was he like? You know, what did his hair smell like? You know, that sort of thing. It was just like, while we were like, he brought me into the back and he's like, oh, I just got this poster and it was original painted for a lobby, like King Kong poster that they had. It was like in gouache on a piece of wood. And we were looking at it and analyzing it with them. And like, you know, off to the side was like a Tom Lovell and a Harvey Dunn, you know, and they were just like, oh my God, you know. Yeah.
I was shocked. I had that impression, and he showed me just there was a second room, like a back door or something like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, he started showing me some rough sketches from Leyendecker, Norman Rockwell, all these guys.
Oh my God.
And it's a different experience when you see the process. It's just like,
oh yeah,
he's working.
Inspiring, you know.
Things done.
Yeah.
That was such an incredible day, such an incredible experience being there and meeting Walt Reed is just, you know, he was actually, he saw the whole thing happen.
Right.
As you said, he was a testimony of whatever we have learned from books and, you know, heard about. He was there and he was just living it.
Right.
It's really interesting.
In a more current way, that's, you know, having Terry Brown around. I mean, that's.
I was just gonna say it was like
the personal experiences he had with a group of artists are unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just you need people like that to have that link, so that you could tell other younger generations what it was like and preserve what was great about it. And you know, I think it's just absolutely essential.
Talking to Terry is definitely a high point.
Man, I would love to sit down and just talk, you know, shop. I was bummed that I was out of town for that talk, because it's like, man. Well, talking to you guys is like talking, like, you know. I mean, I'm the I feel like the kid in the crowd that got pulled up on stage, sort of thing, you know. Hey, you know. then he looked at me, so, and so like, just saying just things like, I mean, what you guys have experienced, and also just like what illustration was back then, and you saw the whole thing, you saw the whole curve coming through, because when you were, both of you guys were studying illustration, it was, if you were to compare it to what illustration is today, it's almost like a completely different thing, and it's cool to learn. Let's learn the first, like, this stuff is cyclical, or this stuff changes all the time. It's always evolving, and it's never in a fixed position. And, learning how to think as becoming an artist with a voice, a personal voice, and not just like chasing style,
Yeah.
I mean, like that's not just from like, something you read from a fortune cookie. It's like, no, it's because this is how you have a long and prosperous career. Like, we look at Chris Payne. I'm like, ain't nobody could do Chris Payne. And that's the reason why or like Gary Kelly, like that's the reason why these guys have long, or Anita Kuntz, just long prolific careers. They just didn't have a good 3 years or 5 years, and I think that's just a testament to, their artistry,
It's hard to stay in the business for a long time.
Right.
And it's usually requires, to stay in the business, it really requires, you probably are going to have to reinvent yourself a few times.
That's for sure.
Right. But think about how many people don't, right? And just don't have just don't know how to do it. Maybe they just got work, and they just never thought anything of it, and they always thought that this was just going to happen forever,
Yeah.
And then they were just now in completely different realms, So just to see somebody like talking about reinventing yourself, like Bernie Fuchs, classic example. Like, I mean, the man had multiple illustration careers in one lifetime, and just to think about that, or your dad's classic example. I mean, he wasn't doing if you showed people his car illustrations, let's pick his the car stuff. Let's say pick Little Women, and then his landscapes, and then also, or the last things he was doing, and you would just put them up against somebody and say, what do these have in common? They probably couldn't tell you it was like the same artist. I mean, unless you knew of his work and you could see like the string going through. But to say that was the same artist is kind of nuts,
There was a consistency in his work, even if it's such a different media, just like
right.
oils or pastels, or that black thing that he used to do in the canvas. What's that called? Is it cold?
Like tar? Yeah.
Tar.
Yeah.
Art paintings, and everything has got this connection. You could recognize the artist.
Totally. But I guess it's more so like how it's an artist doing, it's their personality, but applied completely differently. Like, you would never think that, it was, okay, Mark English is doing car ads in Detroit, with these like super rendered cars with these wonderfully designed figures, having that combination, and then going like into this quasi like Fred Ottness-esque like collage painted over and glazed down, and then going from there to like, oh, I'm just going to do these abstract landscapes. Like, you see the strength and design through all of them, for sure. No, no question about that. But like, how it just makes you think, like, how many people can actually have done that? Because that takes also a leap of faith, and also just knowing that you constantly pushing yourself, like, I like what John was saying in terms of like Fred Ottness or like Bob Heindel and those artists. Like, you're just constantly, you're never satisfied. They're never stuck in like a fixed point in time.
Well, you're always chasing something.
Right.
What you're chasing changes.
Right.
you know, and
it does.
and then as you chase it, you discover new things that interest you, and then you're learning, you know. I mean, going out and doing those landscapes, just the couple that I've done, it's really affecting how I'm thinking about color a lot. And I think about color a ton, you know. I mean, color is a huge thing for me, you know. But it's really thinking about how to quickly mix colors and get certain colors and warms and cools in a very, very compressed way, where I don't have time to think about it. And, you know, I just kind of have to find the color and the value. So it's, you know, it's a learning experience.
Totally.
But I can see how it's affected even how I approach like an abstract thing or whatever.
Or even photography. When you're clicking something, I think it all goes through the same process, mental process. I think.
Yeah.
When I'm taking pictures, I'm thinking of illustration. It's funny. I'm thinking of cropping things and, you know, composition and lights and darks. It's all the same thing for me. It's just different media.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is a little quick study I did.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it's like watercolor and house paint, and it's purposefully just a few colors, not paying attention to the color of the thing itself. I mean, it's a black and white photo, but that approach informed, like doing that sketch informed how I'm going to deal with that.
I think color has a value, right? I think you were talking about continuity and things, and I remember, I think it was Marshall Arisman that said once that every drawing that you do carries the memory of every drawing that you have done before.
Yeah, I love that quote by him.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I had to stop and, you know, I was reading the book and just flipped the book and I kept thinking about that. It's a memory thing. Everything that you do today as a draftsman carries the memories of what you have done for your whole life. It's all a building up thing. And this is beautiful because you never get old in this profession because you're always chasing, you're always looking for something new, something else. This is fascinating for me. There's so much to learn.
Well, I mean,
I figure if you guys talk long enough, I might get my drawing done. So just keep going.
I'm here just watching it. I have my things done here by now. I was doing a lot of image research and, you know, getting the mood of the job that I'm getting into.
I always find that.
Sorry?
Montalvo?
Yes, sir.
Just as you were starting to talk, like my audio cut out.
Oh.
So I heard nothing.
Well, it's a good thing because he had some choice words for you, man.
Oh, you don't want to know.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
Now I have to go back and watch the replay. Or you could just repeat yourself.
Oh God, yeah, you're gonna see it.
No, he forgot. I don't know. I don't know what he was talking about.
All right, so let's bounce around the room real quick.
Okay.
I gotta get, wait a second, I spoke too soon. I got pastel. I can't touch my computer yet.
That's a beautiful painting, John.
I don't know. It's immediate. It's crude. I got fingerprints all over it real badly.
I can't see it from the south. From this part of the planet, it's just.
It looks good from this side of the earth, right?
Okay. The hemisphere.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's bounce around the room. And we'll start with Ray.
Oh, I think you stopped my video here. Let me start it.
Oops. Start your video.
Or if that was on purpose. Let's see. You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. You see what I'm talking about? This is the first time with me on the stream, and this is
too funny.
This is normal. This is normal.
Okay, so let me figure out how to turn that back on.
Okay.
So what do you think? Under boy, Timmy is going to.
Oh, you kicked Ray. Oh.
No, he censored
his camera.
He censored me.
It makes the experience a little bit.
The plan worked.
Okay, let me try this.
Yeah.
Raymond, I'm going to go to more. It says make host. So I'm going to make you a host.
Okay.
Oh no, ask to start video. Start video again.
Start my video. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
I was trying to spotlight you. They're right next to each other.
I make the same mistake all the time.
There you go. There you go. Very nice. I drew my cowboy hat a little small. I need to work on that.
Oh, I suck at cowboy hats.
They're tough. We'll go to Bill. There you go, Bill. Bill did 2. We talked so long,
Of course.
he had to do 2. Very nice. And then
Possibly that's not including the 4 that he was doing while he was waiting for the other ones to dry, right?
I started this one before the time, and then this one just a quick one, and then I did another quick thing too. So that looks good, John.
no, needs some help, but it's going in the right direction. Okay, so let's do this. Let's jump into Instagram real quick and go through a few Instagram.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna stop my video. I'll go to my FaceTime.
I'm going to try to rejoin on my computer.
All right. Montalvo, did you draw then?
No.
Okay.
I was working on the second screen here, just doing research and listening to you all and watching you paint.
Sorry about that.
He was actually doing work, John, unlike us.
I apologize for the conversation.
No. I really enjoyed it. I wish I could have joined you tonight, but as I said, it's just it dropped in a few hours ago.
Oh yeah. Is it a fast deadline?
Okay, so Instagram. Here we go. Can we all see Instagram? To see Instagram?
Yep. It's loading.
All right.
I'm gonna let it completely load because if I go too fast, it will just scroll right into another document of mine. All right. These are so big. Do I have to open them all individually?
I think if you open, you might have to click on them and then
yeah, I know
click the
how
next
to.
button. Oh, okay.
I was just saying, should I?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sure, why not?
I already did. So we're just going to click through them pretty quick.
You did it, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
A lot of great stuff here. I love
Oh,
that.
nice.
I love that everything's so different.
Really nice.
These are fun.
Hey, Gary again.
Oh, nice one, Gary.
Gary doesn't know about the list, the secret list we have, and we have.
Yeah, Gary. We're not very happy with Gary. We never really are. So he's on the line.
I created a list at the Illustration Academy of students that we're going to potentially have to kill. We're going to defend our reputation and our jobs.
Congratulations,
get rid of
Gary.
these people. Montalvo, you were on that list, by the way.
Yeah, but I was lucky to be kind of far.
There was a whole bunch of, Sterling and Montalvo and Edward and Ashley Lovett, all these great illustrators, Francis Vallejo from Vanessa Del Rey from the Illustration Academy. Those were the mediocre ones. The really good ones we got rid of.
So basically anybody under 45 is done for.
There This is great stuff. I'm kidding. I mean, those artists are all so good. I'm lucky.
We're just tired of crying ourselves to sleep. You have to think about us.
That's
Oh, Doug.
Good Bell. He's one of those people.
Ooh, that's nice.
All right. We need to, yeah. You know what? You should just click on the report button for anything that's too good, John, I think.
Oh, Andy Schweitzer, too. It's good. Very nice.
Yeah.
So much good stuff. That was a tough pose.
Yeah, it was.
That's Roberto.
That's really nice.
Oh, owner of the Thomas Blackshear, Roberto?
That's right. He owns the Thomas Blackshear. And I don't know if he got it yet. I just sent, he's supposed to get it, I think, tomorrow. It's supposed to be delivered to him. And I'm not kidding. I sent him I finally sent him the tracking number that I mailed on Monday.
Oh, that's nice.
Elena? Wow. Elena's become a really good painter. She's I really like what she's been doing.
Yeah.
Old strokes.
Good. Oh, that's different.
Whoa.
Ooh, that's cool.
Wow.
Freehand stitching.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
We'll talk about
How fast was this
Is
person?
that one pose or is that like several poses? Timeline. Really nice.
Wow.
Really impressive.
That's nice.
That is nice.
Uh-oh, somebody just came in.
Oh, that's a good one.
Great.
Timmy came back, I think. Watch out.
His phone was melting from all the text messages. You got to get back in there.
Hold on. I want to see who it was that came in the room.
I'm trying to come back in on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Timmy.
It's just Bill again. That's nice. There's something about this pose that less was more in that pose.
Yes, absolutely.
The less you did, the better off you were.
Yeah.
It's good. That's a tough pose too.
That was a tough pose.
Wow, this is good.
Oh,
Jesse.
Nice.
Hey, Jesse. Here's an Academy student. Wow, that's nice.
Wow. That's
Eric
really
Pottinger,
nice.
another Academy student. Very nice.
Playing with heavy paint. I got to check that app out.
It's really nice.
Good one.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Kathleen Bradshaw.
Nice.
Very nice. Julian again.
Very cool. You guys are brave with color, man.
Yeah. I use brown and light brown. And for my cool, I use warm gray. This is nice.
That's 3 times the color that I use today. So
this is really good.
that's
I like
nice.
this.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
nice attitude to it.
Yep.
Another good one.
Oh yeah. I like that one too.
Oh, that's a good stuff. That's good color.
Nice.
Ink wash.
Yeah, it's different for Randy there.
Yeah. Yep.
Oof, Doug.
Come on, Doug. All right, hit that report. Where's the report button?
He's on the hit list.
Yeah, well, he's on the hit list. He just signed up for my portfolio class.
Well, to
I'm
say
like,
that it never.
Why? I'm teasing. Dale can teach you a lot.
Doug, we're not feeling well. You might take it over the class for this this time while I go
Eddie,
finish my sandwich. This is great.
That's a nice piece.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's really
Eddie's
nice.
really gotten good. But she practices all the time. It's no fair.
Ooh, that's cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice,
Dude,
Terry.
people are slinging color, man. This is great.
Really good.
Yeah.
That's what I jokingly.
Wow.
I know I've said this to you before, Ray. I've said this, and I laugh every time. I laugh at myself when I say it because I remember my dad. I was showing him Instagram for the first time,
Uh,
and he pretty much just locks onto my phone for like an hour, just keeps going through stuff, and he looks at me and he goes, "Where did all these good artists come from?" There's a lot of truth to it, man.
I feel like that every time I log on. It's like,
So there's a lot more. I think he said
look at that.
like there's a lot more good artists than there used to be.
I tell you, people are pushing it. This is
That's
awesome.
a feeling.
It's
so
great.
Cool. Oh man.
Ooh, that's cool.
Well, that's nice, Randy.
It's hard to have ego these days, right?
That's right.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, really subtle.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, wow, that's a nice one.
Too. Man.
Everybody got that gesture down, man. It's like
Killed it.
nice. Oh, it's Doug
Oh,
again.
that's cool.
That's interesting.
I like that one too. That's
I
great.
do too.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow.
That's a nice one. Yeah,
Addie?
yeah.
Yo, there's Addie. That's a great one.
Knock off, Addie.
Nice. Yeah. We're hovering close to the report,
Getting close to that list.
Yeah, we're coming close to the list.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I gotta try that out.
Oof, Randy, really
Nice.
good. Really made that paper mid-tone work for you.
Yeah, he's what has he got? Like an entire art store's worth of supplies next to him. He's switching up mediums every
Oh, that's
every
cool.
one. I like that one.
Mhm.
Is that palette knife?
That's
Oh yeah,
true.
Shimmer palette knife.
Hey, Jeremy,
That's
very
great.
nice. Jeremy's a good artist.
Yeah. Nice attitude in that one.
Oh, good drawing.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Oof. I think I don't know. I think everybody's getting better. Consistency. Oh, this is last week.
Yeah, I love that drawing.
Get that dog out of there.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, you can report that other one too, John. That's probably a good idea.
Please don't kill him.
Yeah.
Tag your drawings. Hashtag please don't kill me.
Yeah. The list. You have been added.
The list.
It's taking its time loading. I hope I'm loading the right thing. Here we
Looks
go.
like it.
See all.
Oh, that's a nice one. That first one there. Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to look at them.
That
Like,
whole row is great. Yeah, this is
Oh,
great.
yeah.
you mind if I look at them like this? Because I'm.
No, this is great. I really like to see all of the
Beautiful.
approaches all together,
Look at that.
Yeah.
It's like this digital thing. It's like people are like, it's not going away.
Damn it.
I think it's going to stick around.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's
I like
just a
that
phase.
drawing on the left of the girl next to the
Yeah.
copycat. Yeah, that's great.
This is a good way to look at these, actually. I know we're cropping them greatly, but
Yeah, but like if you look at Doug's, for instance, like that reads just as well there, as strongly there as it does full screen,
yeah.
Wow, look at those yellow ones. Whoa.
Yeah.
I know it's Brian Lutz, I bet. Right?
Yeah.
He's on the list.
Let's see. Let's pull it up just in
Let's
case.
see. We're taking names.
I got it.
Yep. Okay.
We're paying attention.
We're taking names.
Okay, now how do I go back?
Maybe press ask.
If I go to home, or will that will take me to my home?
Do you have an X on your screen or the little
Here we
2
go.
arrows?
Go back to illustration isolation. No, it's still showing me full stuff. I'll just scroll through. We've seen. Well, this is Instagram or this is Facebook?
That's Facebook.
Is that yeah? I guess it's following the hashtag rather than the group.
Yeah.
Does that makes.
Okay, so how do I do that?
You have to go to recent posts.
I'll just go to this. I'll do it again.
We'll do it live. We'll do it.
Unlike that, what that commercial with the guy training the people like their father.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I am that guy.
Yeah.
I need to be trained. I love that commercial. Wow, look at this. It's a whole new set.
Oh, that's
wow, yeah.
Wow.
Nice. I love that
They're
one.
awesome.
Those are great.
I think people posted since we started.
Okay.
These are awesome. Yeah, because this is where we left off.
Right. Oh, there are definitely some new ones here.
Yeah.
Those are
more people.
Oh, those are great.
I see a Felicity in there.
Is that a Felicity drawing?
It looks like it to the far
Yeah.
right.
Where?
No, on the far right.
Oh, here. Yeah, that's a Felicity drawing.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not going to click on it. Been down that road. That's nice.
These are great.
Look at that. So many good ones.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that watercolor one, too, on the left. Wow.
This one?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's killer. So is this.
Yeah.
Simplicity of them's great.
Yes, sir.
That's got to be Felicity. No one else draws that well.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It's like style. It just gets away from the reality.
Yep.
How old is he?
We screw up the naive quality of children's artwork when we start telling them that no, the grass is green and the sky is blue.
Right.
Start giving limitations. And as soon as there's limitations, it's all over with the innocence.
Right.
Why do we do it?
Then we spend the rest of our lives as artists trying to go back, chasing it back. It's like, remember when I was actually a real artist?
Right. I got my dad confiscated my artwork as I was learning, especially when I was a teenager. And he would just take things. He would never ask. He would just say, I want this. I did a painting, my very first gouache painting of a horse on an Indian on a horse. And he took it, and he only said to me is he took it and he goes, you will never do anything this good for the next 10 years. He said, I just got it all back. And he was right. I didn't. Until it was 30.
Oh man.
Funny. Hey, well, listen, everybody. We're just killing time. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us. Remember, we got a semester starting a week from Saturday. So if you have interest in a class, reach out to us. And Ray and Bill and Montavo, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thanks, John.
Well, thank you guys. It was always an honor, as
awesome.
always.
It's fun hanging with you guys as always, and in the crowd. Thanks so much for tolerating us. I hope you had fun drawing.
Thanks, everybody. So many good.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Have a great week.
Take care.